Okay, this is always the most difficult part, the beginning. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. This is Nathan Daley. As you guys know, I'm your law enforcement translator, here to give you guys insight on all things law enforcement in this wild country that we live in. So Happy New Year's, everyone, and all to my new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. For my regular subscribers, you guys know y'all are my favorite because y'all been here with me from subscriber one. I think the first subscriber, of course, the first five are like family, right? And then after that, people start showing up. So you guys, listen, we've made it pretty far. We're doing really well. This channel's growing. This is our channel. That's how I look at it. It's not me. This is bigger than me, you guys. This is our channel. Everything that I've accomplished so far, I couldn't have done it without you guys. So shout out to the live chat. Some people in there, some new faces. Listen, I'm really grateful, you guys. I'm grateful for all of you. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. And I'm looking forward to people joining in, coming in and talking about this topic. You see the title, Police Rights versus People's Rights. And I'm going to tell you why it's important. And on top of that, you guys, I have a guest today. I have a really awesome guest that's coming in to speak to you. Her channel is called A-Delic. Her name is Rima. She's amazing. A great person. Very insightful person. Her channel's about sports and everything else. She has this very unique, crafty way of like bringing content together. You guys will really, really like her content. At the same time, now listen, you guys know I love conversation. I love to talk. But more so I like to talk to people who provide insight, who provide in-depth. Listen, you guys, I'm the type of person that likes to have conversations outside of shallow water. A lot of people they like that shallow stuff. They like to talk on the surface. Listen, if you can't swim, you can't have conversations with me, right? Because if we got to go on the deep end. That's where all the issues are. That's where the root problems are in the deep end. If you can't swim, listen, we'll get you some floaty devices. We'll make sure. Listen, I won't ever bring you out too far where you'll drown, right? Because it's not about that. The whole purpose of this channel is to provide insight, to have conversation, have dialogue, to not shy away from things that are uncomfortable. Now, listen, you guys know I represent both sides of the spectrum. I tell you all the time, I'm here for Black empowerment. And I'm also here for police empowerment. Both can be true at the same time. I love law enforcement. I love serving people. I like helping people. It's in my heart. It's kind of like in my nature. I feel like God gave me this gift to be a servant. I went to see Spider-Man not too long ago. And, the running theme with Spider-Man is, listen, with great power comes great responsibility. That's what this whole channel is about. It's about responsibility, accountability. We're going to talk about that today. So, listen, I'm not good at this monologue stuff where I just sit and talk to you guys and, for hours on end. The master of this is the lead attorney. The lead attorney is good. He just dropped a video, you guys, talking about storytelling, the art of doing these live streams. You guys, he's good. He's good at it. So shout out to the lead attorney. I actually should have tried to get him over here as well. I hope he gets a chance to chime in. We're talking law today. What are we talking about? The police rights versus the citizens' rights. In Georgia, there's a lot of interesting things going on, you guys. We've been under a microscope for a while. Why is that? We had the Ahmaud Arbery case, the trial with the McMichaels, William Roddy Bryant. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Well, the Governor Kent, passed some very interesting laws. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about these laws that favor the hate crime bill. People who commit crimes against other people based on discrimination, right? Race, gender, sex, sexual orientation, religion. These things, Georgia is, I think they said there was only 4 states that doesn't have a hate crime bill. And Georgia just joining the party. So we're going to talk about that. But there's some controversy behind that bill with the governor. And there's also the second bill he passed. They call it the Police Bill of Rights. He's like, listen, I'm going to hook y'all up with this, but I got to get this to the officers as well. Some people feel a little funny about the police bill, So we're going to talk about it. Listen, I'm not gonna talk too long. I can't do it because my anxiety kicks in. I'm gonna bring my guest up. Sports A-Delic. I'm gonna let her give you the whole rundown. I think she's just so eloquent with it. What do I like most about her? She's smarter than me, technically. You know what it is? Iron sharpens iron, you guys. You know, iron sharpens iron. She's solid iron. And I think that's what's most awesome about her. You know, this is how I learn, you guys. Some people ask me, I have people ask me in email, hey, where'd you get this insight from? Listen, I talk to people who are wiser than me. And I listen. You guys, let me introduce you to my guest. Today's my first guest on the stream. So she's special. She took my guest virginity. Shout out to my guest, Rima. Caught her sipping on that scissor. What's going on, Rima? What's going on?
How you doing? How you doing? How's everyone doing that's here with us thus far? And I'm honored. I am honored. You're my first. This is my first. Um,
Oh, we're sharing our
v-
first
this
together.
is this is my first virginity moment. YouTube on YouTube. So we're breaking each other in, and so I wanted to honor that commitment.
Mm,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Salute.
Salud.
Salute. Okay.
Salud.
Right.
You guys, listen, you guys. I'm a lightweight. This is apple juice on the rocks. Mm,
Yes. Fruit punch
fruit
on the
punch.
rocks. On the
Right.
rocks. So.
Right. Listen, if the moderators please drop Sports Adelic's channel in the chat, you guys would love for you to check out her channel. Please go and follow and support. You guys, we're putting content together that's in depth. You know, we're putting content
Yes.
together that sparks intellectual debate. This is what we need, especially in our community. In general, we need critical thinkers. We're about to critically think the mess out of this subject right now. So,
Yes.
so Rima, please, if you could tell people about you, about your channel, give them a introduction, and then tell them also. You can tell them how we have come in contact before in the past. Go ahead.
Oh God. Well, like I said, I'm Sportsadelic, and Sportsadelic derived out of my love for music. I love funk, I love R&B, and what made Funkadelics was their ability to put funk and R&B together and produce a whole nother sound. And so that's what I feel like I do with my channel. I talk about sports, but I talk about every current event that I possibly think that need to be addressed. I've talked about the true implications behind the whole R. Kelly, how he was really able to, persist for so long. Certainly, Ahmaud Arbery, all the shootings that have really, Breonna Taylor, some of the things that are just riveting, as they say. My background, I've played basketball at every level. I was a student athlete. That's something I've always taken great pride in, the student piece. I wanted people to understand I'm not just here because I can play basketball. I'm here because I'm able to help my professors learn something. You're never too old to learn. Now you might be too closed off to learn, but you're never too old to learn. And everybody can learn. Not everybody can teach, and that's something that I understand being a counselor. Um, Not everybody can teach, but you can definitely improve your abilities if you just listen and hear. People forget that listening is a life skill that has to be enhanced, it has to be developed, it has to be worked on. It's not just I have these ears, so therefore I'm a great listener. That's not the reality. And so on my channel, I do public service announcements because those are, things that are critically important as well, and just a good mix. So for me, I am a lady of the leaf. Their cigars are synonymous, with sports, and I've been able to meet some of the icons in sports. I've sat down at Jim Brown's house, the legend Jim Brown. Uh, played for the Browns, and this man is so smart, so sharp. I've met and enjoyed cigars with Dr. J, but it's really about their wisdom, their trials, their tribulations. And that's what kind of drew me in really to the cigar lifestyle. It wasn't necessarily about, enjoying a cigar as much as the people and the conversations that you come in contact with. So for me, that was a double win. I get to fully relax because when you're counseling, especially you're dealing with a lot of superior court stuff, you need to relax. Uh, but man, the conversations, because talking, and that's what I love about your show, because talking has the power to heal.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you for that. Now, how I came across your ass, um, I I retired from a Department of Juvenile Justice, and our training facility is at Gypstick,
Right.
which is the training facility for all police officers throughout the state of Georgia. And I just remember saying, it's like when I first came across your channel, I was like, because I don't really ever forget eyes, nose, the
Right.
inner. And I was like, I don't remember any hair, but they're not allowed to have hair. And then that's what you were doing the whole time. I was like, I don't even know if this dude is serious about his craft. He'll do nothing but sit around and laugh and smile all the damn time. That's what I remember saying. And it was just hello, because I'm going to speak to everyone, but I make it a special point to speak to, my black folk. And it was just a hey, what's up? And he was, I was like, hey, I'm Rima. And he was like, oh, I'm Nathan, I'm just doing my thing down here. And I was like, yeah, I'm going over here, up here to this boring, because once you become a veteran in your field, these things
Right.
become, a dragnet. So
Tedious.
I was just going to drag myself up there. And I've always been kind of a clown. So people enjoyed having me in the training because I always, kind of lighten the mood. And the reason why I really, really had to dive into this HB 426 and 838, because it's also about voter education underneath all of this.
Right. Before we get into that,
Yeah.
let's tell the audience what we're gonna talk about in general in reference to the, I touched on it briefly, but the HB, because they don't know that it stands for House Bill, you guys, if you're not familiar. But just give them the background of what we're going to be discussing before you get into all the fancy stuff.
Well, what I was going to say,
Mm-hmm.
House Bill 426 was, the hate bill crime
Right.
that was passed here. To put that bill in perspective, like you said, Georgia was the fourth state, um, you know, and they were the first to actually, ratify, from the Constitution, right?
Mm.
And I'm saying this way because I want to really bring a full picture to this.
Okay.
We had this. We did not have a hate bill on our books, right? Here in Georgia, 233 years, and now we've turned another year, so 234 years. And so finally, something wild happens,
Mm-hmm.
Ahmaud Arbery, and then up underneath that, now we get this, and people are celebrating. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, and then that moves us into the police protection bill. The police protection bill, it gives the police officers right, if you violate their personal right, for them to press charges against you. So that's the basic of both of those, and how somehow they were twisted up and meshed together, but nobody pays attention to the underneath. So it's like, yes, we have this, but at the end of the day, it taints the other one, and to some degree almost nullifies, depending on
Mm.
what happens and how it jumps off, in
Hmm.
my humble opinion.
All right. And that's what we're going to get into, you guys. Thank you for breaking that summary down. Listen, this is what it's about. There's these two bills. A lot of people are saying that they were signed simultaneously. One of the big speakers, one of the big anti police Bill of Rights is what they're calling it, that the governor signed, is the NAACP. And they're saying, hey, this is a slap in the face. You know, now you created a bill to protect the police officers. I'm gonna read some of the stuff of the bill to you guys so you can kind of get a better understanding of what they're asking about, what they want to protect the police from. And then we can read something about the hate crime bill. It's very I mean, it's very self-explanatory, but what they're saying is, you know, people who don't like the police Bill of Rights are saying that, hey, you created, you're trying to turn the police into a protected class where it's almost like you can't do nothing to them, right? And people are already a little shaky about the police and the powers and the protections that police have already. So now you guys have to also be mindful. This is in Georgia, right? So this isn't. I don't know what other states have, but this is in Georgia at the moment. The purpose for this conversation, Rima wants to bring a lot of these things to me and get my personal opinion on it. Now we've talked behind the scenes, but we haven't talked about any details because I want to give her my initial original reaction. I want time to really process it. I've read the bill. I have my opinions on it. So this conversation right now is going to be somewhat of a debate. Just kind of like, hey, here are the pros and cons of both. You know, hey, Nathan, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? And my goal is to bring insight to it from the mind of an officer. And then also for you guys to also chime in if you have questions about what you think in comparison. You know, do the police need any more rights, any protection? Do they need some folks are like, shoot, they don't need
the gun just isn't enough.
Right.
And the taser and pepper spray, it's just not enough.
Right. It's not enough. It's never enough for a dangerous job. But I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. So, you know, Rima, listen, you know, you can push back hard. I don't mind. You know, don't be gentle with me.
Well, it is our first time.
It's our first time. It's our first time.
So in order for it to be a second time, don't you think we ought to?
We gotta be. Yeah. Listen, we gotta be.
Yeah, it gotta be good, but it also gotta be
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's see. Listen, you guys, if you have any questions, I'm gonna try to catch your questions. If you want to come up, I'll let you guys know when it's time to come up. But I want to explain some features of the bill on both sides. Hold on, what a trash can wave say.
Wow. Wow, trash can.
Hey, brother, you gotta have a little more faith in me. Have a little more faith in me.
I was gonna say trash can. It's all good over here.
So I'm gonna pull the bill up. Let's see what Sonia says. Rima, what do you think of the Florida law passed that says the police have no duty to save someone from an active shooting? Yikes. I have to look into that. But
well, I can answer that. I work, like I said, I retired from the Department of Juvenile Justice. Legally, I've not ever had a duty. I don't have a duty if a coworker, or I had a duty if a youth that I'm serving. That's why we had to do CPR first class or what, first aid. I didn't have a duty necessarily if a coworker is in some kind of distress, but that's an individual compass. Like morally, I had a duty, and I actually sadly ended up having to perform CPR on a coworker. I didn't have a duty to, as far as job was related, but as far as my mental and my moral compass, I did. So I don't. That's up to that individual person, I think. And I don't care that it's a law. I just think that that's going to be the moral fiber. And that's what really we're talking about with some police officers. And I want to be clear about that. I am not anti-police. Some police officers are out here. The moral compass, the character, the ethics, the integrity isn't there. And so they're not going to do that. Don't expect them to, they're not. But those that have that fiber, that moral fiber, they're going to just act because it's just in you to do it.
Yep.
I hope that helps. What is that? Sonia J? Sonia
1.
Sonia 1.
That's a good response. I think from an officer standpoint, I'm gonna look into that. I need to make a note to look into that. But I will say this, as officers, how do they train us? You guys, they train us to stop the threat, right? The threat, if we're talking about an active shooter, we have someone who is actively taking lives, actively taking lives. We're trained to step over bodies. We're trained to not even worry about healing or bringing any aid to anyone in the moment. Nothing matters until the threat is done, until the threat has been stopped and eliminated. If I have an officer that's down and I'm going in, there's a chance that I might have to step over that officer. Instead of rendering aid to a police officer, I have to step over his or her body. Because what's the reality? If I don't stop that threat and I become a victim too, I can't give help to anybody. Everyone is still a danger if there's an active shooter. And I don't know about the Florida law, but I can only imagine. Let me speculate for a second. Why would they create a law like this? The only thing I can think of is that people think that, in a situation like this, that the police are obligated to save their individual lives. The officer's number one priority is to eliminate the threat. And if they don't get a chance to save your life in the process, that can open up some lawsuits. So if they pass the law, it's probably to protect the officers. It's probably to protect the officers. Go ahead, Rima.
I think for me, there are the most extreme cases of something like this taking place. Yes, the police, when they arrive, it's no different than military. Eliminate the threat. That's what has to happen. But we have to also make up our minds, and this is just my little pushback. We have to make up our minds. If it's about serving and protect, okay, do the service, eliminate the threat, then do the protection piece. Render some aid if that's what's required. Well, I mean, right. it just can't be all over the place. In my opinion.
Let me add something real quick before you finish. Not to cut you off, but this is a caveat that I forgot. Stop the threat, make the scene safe. Until the scene is safe, then officers we're obligated to render aid. This is why when you see these shootings, people get upset like, oh, hey, the officer shot the suspect, but then they took 5 minutes to give CPR, render aid. What was it? And we're talking about Ahmaud Arbery. We're going to talk about Ahmaud Arbery in this video as well. What was the issue with Ahmaud Arbery? He was shot cold-blooded. The officer showed up and didn't make an attempt at all, any attempt. Regardless of what you think or how bad the circumstances, you still make an attempt. You never know. And he made zero attempt. It was the second officer who came on scene that actually rendered aid to Ahmaud Arbery, even though he knew that his injuries were. So until the scene is safe, officers can't render aid. So that's something a lot of people don't know about.
I think I don't want to be misleading to our viewers. That's in any situation. Like as a counselor inside a detention facility, I still can't be effective until that scene is safe.
Right.
So that's a key component in anything that you do. Even if you're going to intervene in a domestic violence at Applebee's or Ruby Tuesday, some restaurant, you better make sure that scene is safe before you start to, intervene. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Right. What does Vanessa say? She says, does that relate to Good Samaritan law? As a Samaritan, the thing is you're not obligated.
Right.
You're not obligated. And as officers and professionals, you're obligated to do certain things because it's part of your job. You think about doctors, they take that Hippocratic oath. And it's like you are obligated, or you lose your license. A Samaritan, it's a choice. The thing about Samaritans too is like if you do something, the Samaritan laws are like, hey, I try to render aid, try to save this person in a car accident. I try to pull them out, but by me pulling them out, I end up severing their spine or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, am I protected? It was an honest mistake,
Yes.
So that's when it gets into the Samaritan laws, is protecting people who were acting in good faith and may have caused more harm than good. You got to be careful. The same thing with this vigilante justice. You think you're doing something, your intentions were good, quote unquote, but you've caused more problems, and you'll be held accountable. Right. I.e. McMichaels and them. These clowns, bunch of clowns. And clowns go where, Rima? To the circus.
To the circus.
And that's where they're headed to for life.
Well, that's what they were. They were just good Samaritans.
They're just good Samaritans minding their business. They saw a brother. They saw a brother had no business being where he was at.
Right.
And God forbid,
Why don't you understand that? We were just trying to make the scene safe.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's talk about this. Let me run down this the hate crime bill. This is Georgia House Bill 426. You guys, in the description section, I put some reading material in there for you. For those who want to, after this, go back and pull it up. Or if you want to pull it up while we're talking, it's not, these things aren't, it's not a lot. It's like 3 pages, but it talks about exactly what the bill is and what the purpose for it is. So I just put some highlights on it. I'm gonna read them out real quick so you guys can we're all on the same page before we start this discussion. So right now we're talking about Georgia House Bill 426. Let's see. Basically, the criminal penalties against those who intentionally target victims based on their race, their gender, sexual orientation, national origin, religion, and physical or mental disabilities. Listen, this bill also protects the LGBTQ. Let me not do that. But it protects them. Protects everybody, you guys. It protects everybody. So if you try to discriminate, hurt somebody in any form of, and discrimination is involved, you're done. You're done.
Toasted. You're toasted like an almond.
And they have it. The crime is based on misdemeanors and felonies. So with all this new bill is, it's just basically it's like a regular crime, and they add some steroids to it, right? So if they find out that this was hate behind your actions when you committed this offense, it could be any offense, misdemeanor or felony, and they find out hate was behind, if hate was your motivation, you're done. They're gonna add a little extra sauce to your punishment. That's really all it is, you guys. They're adding a little bit. They're saying, hey, because it was like a malice hate towards this person. You did it because of their disability. You did it because of their skin color. You did it because of their race, their religion, their sexual orientation. We're gonna add a little sauce to it. Go ahead, Rima.
And that's what I wanted to add to that. If that hate results in the death of someone, then the death penalty is on the table at that point in federal court, which I think is something that the McMichaels and William Bryan is going to have to face.
Correct. And he signed that bill right on time because, if I'm not mistaken, that stuff goes in effect. It's in effect. It's in effect.
That's why it's like, yeah.
He signed it. He signed it early last year. What else? Let me see. 12-month imprisonment. Okay. And then lastly, for this bill, it received bipartisan support. So it was basically it was kind of like everybody was on the same page when it came down to it.
Right.
Now, that is the hate crime bill, you guys. That's the hate crime. It's very simple, straightforward, straight to the point. Right? Now, what's the other bill? There's another bill.
This is the hate bill to the hate bill.
This is the hate bill. This is basically, if you hate the police bill, is what they should have called it, right? Is that fair to say? Now, mind you, this is the hate crime bill. This is for the people. But what the governor do? The governor did something genius, you guys. He added law enforcement to it. He might as well have put it under the 426 bill, in my opinion.
Right.
Because what we're saying is, police, this profession, people hate us. People hate us. Police officers are discriminated against too, you guys. People profile the police. People judge the police. People are prejudiced to the police. What are your thoughts, Rima, before I get in my monologue? Can you hate the police so bad that you're prejudiced against them? Can you look at a police officer and say, you know what, it's something about that uniform I don't like. I don't really care. I assaulted that officer, or I assaulted that person because he was an officer. She was an officer. I hate the police.
I don't want the viewers to be misled. And what I mean by that is, I want us to talk. You said earlier that you go balls deep, right? So you're going to have to go balls deep into this discussion. That's what you said, right?
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, it's not, people confuse prejudice, racism, and hate. Those are 3 totally different things. Prejudice is just a preference. It's
Correct.
just like, I mean, I prefer butter pecan over strawberry ice cream. I'm prejudiced towards the strawberry, right?
Hmm.
And so when we talk about this particular situation, that's my pushback.
Hmm.
That's my ultimate pushback. Because if I disagree with you, if I'm just prejudiced towards your point of view, it
Right.
doesn't mean that I hate you.
Correct.
And how it's written, it's a little too vague for me, because it's like,
Mm.
well, damn. If I say, hey, officer, get up off of him, he's not resisting. It's like, oh, no, that's not what's going on. We're supposed to be a team,
Right.
and that's what you're trying to do with your voice as a translator. Have everyone understand it's a team effort. Everybody needs that person, no matter who it is, to come in and be the voice of reason in a crazy situation.
Correct.
And so I just want you to be balls deep. I just want you to go in, uh, because you're not. Let's just go. We talked about this. Come on now.
Right.
Come on.
Listen. Let me
I'm
give.
high energy, sports and deli. Come on.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Listen, I'm gonna read the bill for the police bill of rights that the governor in Georgia signed. And listen, let me tell you guys, me and Rima we have law enforcement background, right? Criminal justice background. Let's say that we have criminal justice background.
Well, I was the executive protection officer. Don't cheat me. Don't cheat me.
That's fancy. I need to put that on my resume. Listen,
You know.
you guys, our humor is horrible. You guys don't want to know the humor that law enforcement have behind the scenes. It's horrible. It's
bad.
It's so bad. If HR ever got a hold of a quarter of the stuff, the entire department's being wiped out. Rima,
Yes.
wiped out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wiped out. So you guys don't mind us. Our
The women too. We're no better.
As bad. The women are just as bad.
Yes.
I don't know why. I guess we joke and laugh and tell all kind of jokes. It helps dissipate all the stress, man.
Would you address this question right here?
Yes. Isn't all crimes hate crimes? No.
No.
That's a good question though. Trash Can Wave says is all crimes hate crimes? No. There's this man when someone hates you, it's almost passionate in nature, right? Like when someone right, would you agree, Rima? It has to be like a passion behind.
It's
like,
not almost. It's very.
It is, right?
It's just as passionate as whatever they love. The hate
Correct.
is just as extreme.
Yes. Yeah. And I think
that's just at a counseling level. It's just it's just as intense. It's no different. It's no different.
Did you tell the people that you have a counseling background? I don't know if I missed. Did you speak on that?
I did. I think you were just so excited about the moment that you didn't.
That's right. I lost myself in the moment. I apologize.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I want them to know that because you provide a very interesting perspective from a professional side that one I can't give, and and that opens the door for us to have a lot of different conversations in this space. Let me go and what'd you say on steroids? Yeah. The H bill, this stuff is the hate crime, and this stuff is all on steroids, basically.
Well, hold on, Nathan. Go back, and you were giving an example to the young, about the hate. Not all crimes are hate crimes.
Yeah.
And
yeah, not all crimes are hate crimes. And I was just talking about when it's discriminatory in nature, and there's a certain passion when you talk about hate. That's why I kind of like the title. It's a hate crime. When you hate something, it's a passionate response, and it's this visceral reaction you have to a person's skin color, to a person's religion, to a person's sexual orientation. I hate that, right? I hate them. Right. It's like you want to do something about it. You're so passionate about it. It's like almost equivalent to a crime of passion. You lose control of yourself. It's an emotional response,
I think what I'll add to that. I'm sorry for interrupting. What I would add to that is just for the viewers. Just think about what you love to do and all the preparation, time, effort, energy, and focus that you put into what you love to do. It's the same if you just hate a person. You put the same focus and energy, practice into that hate. And that's why it's so hard to get it out of a person, Think
Yeah.
about what you're most passionate about, and somebody trying to get that out of you.
Right.
It's the same thing. So I just wanted
I
to
like that.
make that distinguishment.
I like that. And you know, this is where we start diving into criminal psychology, guys. Listen, I love criminal psychology. Um, my undergrad was in criminology, the studying of the criminal mind. You know,
Mm.
and so this dives into it. I can't wait to start diving into more of those topics with you guys, you know, but you know, it's so much, there's so much content in this stuff, you know, there's just so much to talk about, you guys. You'd be surprised. What does Deanie say? Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, even though I'm not in Georgia. I'm learning so much about the system. No, thank you for your support. You know, and thank you for saying that and mention that, you guys. This is one thing that Rima was talking to me earlier, was just that, you know, these things go under the radar. We're so distracted, you guys. We're so distracted. And a lot of us, especially in our community, we're not involved enough. Listen, people are putting laws and creating laws and putting them over us, and we don't even know. We don't even know the laws that govern us. And this is the problem. You know, this is the problem. This is the big problem. People complain about it, but then they're nowhere to be found when it's time to vote, right?
But can I share with you and the
Mm-hmm.
viewers how I pay attention to these things, and I just want to share how it's connected to sports.
Okay.
I've been trained to go underneath the surface. Like
Correct.
when you're getting ready to play against a team, you don't just dissect this player, you dissect all the players. And so when a bill comes across, I dissect all of it. I
Mm-hmm.
turn all the pages because it gives you the best scouting report. It gives you the best opportunity to put together a game plan. And how this bill, how these things were merged together, it's classic. It's classic. But that's why I mix sports A-Delic with everything else, because some of the teachings for me makes it easy for me to dive into different areas and topics, because I've already learned the BS,
Right.
the garbage, in the most fun way. I love playing basketball, but there's a lot of garbage underneath the politics of even playing basketball that I love. There's a lot of politics underneath. So you always got to pause and say, okay, if they're giving us this, what are they taking?
Right. 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 Did they?
So,
You know, and we're going to talk about that. Let me read the bill, you guys. Now listen, we're going to go over the bill for the police rights bill. The police rights bill. And then we're going to talk about some things, and I think Rima brought up a good point. Did we lose something? Did we gain something? Did we lose something?
hold on, I have to do this.
You gonna light one up? Go ahead.
This is my pet peeve bill right here. Right? So
she feels some kind of way about this bill.
I do.
Listen, what's wrong with the police being protected more? Is that really the issue? Is that really the issue? Let me read this out. Georgia House Bill 838, you guys. This is the police rights bill that the Georgia governor signed. What does it say? A peace officer shall have the right to bring civil suit against any person, group of persons, organizations, corporations, or the head of an organization or corporation. Uh-oh. Look out, BLM. Look out. You guys, you got to read between the lines. Listen, for damages either or otherwise suffered during the officer's performance of official duties, for abridgment of the officer's civil rights arising of the officer's performance of official duties, or for filing complaints against the officer the person knew was false when they filed it. I love that, you guys. I love it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break down each rights one at a time. I just want to read it to you guys. What happens if you violate this? What is the governor calling this? He's calling this the bias, motivated, and intimidation. That's the charge. Bias, motivation, and intimidation. You're biased to the police. You intimidate the police, right? It's almost like, how do you intimidate the police?
You see, you can't even keep a straight face when you're saying it.
Hey, listen. Listen, we're
You
gonna break.
you can't even keep a straight face when you're saying it.
It's not about how I feel. It's not about my feelings. Listen,
Balls deep, balls deep.
and we're
I
going
don't wanna
deep.
hear-
We're
Okay.
gonna clap them. This is what
Okay.
what the deal is. What's the reality? I always make arguments on this channel. I make two arguments. It's the moral one, and then it's the legal one. We can make the moral argument all day, but then we got to make the legal one. The legal
Right.
one is the one where you got to take your feelings out of it. What does it say? A person who violates the law can be sentenced to 1 to 5 years in prison. You guys, they're basically making it a felony. It's an extra added bonus.
I think it's a class C felony, and it on the low end, and it moves up B to A.
Oh, it's about to be now. Hey, you know what though? This isn't just police officers, you guys. This bill is for all public safety. That's the caveat.
Or perceived.
Hey, but they're in there. They're in there maliciously and with the specific intent to intimidate, harass, terrorize another person because that person perceived employment as a first responder. Listen. All right, that's the bill. People are mad. People are mad because he signed these things kind of simultaneously, right? So people are like, hey, we're trying to focus. Where did the hate crime bill come out from? The Ahmaud Arbery case, the McMichael's trial. This is what birthed the hate crime. So what people are saying is like, hey, we want something for Ahmaud Arbery. We need something on the books. Georgia, you're like the last 4 that don't have one. We need something. So Governor Kemp is like, man, of course, I got you guys. What did he do? He was like, not a problem. What else do you guys need? It's not a problem. We need to fix this. Governor Kemp is doing his thing. He did it. He knocked it out. But then Governor Kemp said, hold on. But while we're at it, I need to do something for the officers. Why, you guys? What's been going on? The police have been under attack in this nation. Uh-oh, Rima's rolling her eyes. How do you guys feel about that? Should the police have protections against harassment and intimidation? Is it okay that you make a false police report on a police officer and they just get away with it? You guys, I talked about this before. I'm gonna give you my story. So Rima, let me know your thoughts. Let me roll through here, see who's chatting to come on the screen. What are your thoughts on? Give me your how do you want to carry this? I'm gonna let you go. They both listen. The audience knows both sides now.
As I said.
All right, where do you want to go with this?
As I said, I am not anti-police.
Correct.
I'm not anti-police. I just don't like the old bait and switch. Mm-hmm. Because this came out of a modern day lynching. This was a result of police officers, detectives, DAs not doing their job, not serving the citizen, which happens to be the dead guy, Ahmaud Arbery, right? They didn't serve him by doing their job. So why do we need protection? Why is it being introduced and passed as a result of the hate piece, driving, just minding his business, and that's the bait and switch that I don't like. Now, if it was comparable, but I'm about comparable data. If it's comparable to what actually took place, that's one thing. It's one thing if the police officers were there and they were trying to help Ahmaud and the citizens were attacking the police while they're trying. That's not what happened. So why are you trying to protect the police through this situation? You know why? See, psychology says I can trick you. If I take what you are most focused on and most passionate about, that's the primary. Well, I can slip in the secondary. And that's what happened. Like, people were celebrating. We live here. And I don't know, you may not be as in the cut trenches as I am when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, people were celebrating. We gotta hate, but
right.
But I wasn't. And I said, see, it goes back to all of my athletic training. I've done my scouting report. We're still not going to win. We're still not going to win. So I just don't like the language is too vague. when you start talking, and you've done several shows about perception. When you start talking about perceived, you know, our image is intimidating. So they may have been taught to believe. So before I ever say anything to you as a police officer, you already find me intimidating. Now you have a law to where you can stretch that like turkey meat. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, Nathan.
Okay.
Where are people at? Where are people at on the chat? Am I wrong about this?
No, they feeling it. I'm seeing some two questions that came up recently. Is this one right here I thought was good from Evelyn Garcia. If cops want to be included, they should exclude from qualified immunity deal.
There you go, Edwin. I agree with Edwin. You can't have it all. You can't have it all.
Can't have it all.
Because as a citizen, we don't get it all, right? That's true. Now. This is a debate. Remember this? This is our first time. This is our first time. I want you to go in.
I'm trying to take it slow now. I'm trying to take it slow. There's a lot to unpack. Okay.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot to unpack. Fair enough. If cops want to be included. But what are we talking about, you guys? These are areas the governor did something very unique. I don't disagree with anything the governor just did with that bill. Why do I say that? Just because, here's the problem with this conversation already. I already see the problem. The problem is we're going to end up having like three different arguments. Number one, what is the number one problem with law enforcement? Government in general, abuse of power. The problem is not the tool. The problem is the person wielding the tool. This is the issue. The problem is not the uniform. The problem is the human that's wearing the uniform. The problem with policing, we need to adjust that piece. That's the piece that needs to be fixed. You can give somebody all the power in the world. If they use the power properly, no one has a complaint. People have issues with the police because there's a lot of imbeciles in the profession.
Nathan?
Is the issue this? Let me ask you this. What is the bill protecting? It's saying this right here. Peace officers should have the right to bring civil suits against any person, group, or organization. Why is that a bad thing? If we break it down one by one, that's what we're going to do. We're going to break it down one by one and go through it. That's the best way to do it. And I'm explaining to you why it's important. I understand the issues people are having, but the people are having issues not with protecting police, it's protecting bad police officers. What needs to happen in this country is there needs to be a good way, a good structure foundation way to remove bad officers out of the mix. There needs to be a way to prevent officers from abusing their power, identifying them, removing them from the fold. That's the issue. The issue is people aren't happy that we're giving more power and protection to the police, but yet not fixing the corruption piece that comes with this whole situation. That's the real problem. Because what are you doing? You're like, hey, give them more, give them more. People are like, hold on, wait a second. You never even addressed the part with all these officers we can't get rid of. You're not addressing the poor training, right? People want to see someone have just as much energy and make just as much effort to fix the bad officers than they are trying to protect all the officers, in my opinion.
Well, but shouldn't that be
a priority?
No, but shouldn't that be the problem, the con that you have with the situation? Because you started out by saying, hey, look, I don't have an issue with that. But as I listen to you, you're aware, you're fully aware.
Absolutely.
People ain't tripping about that. It's about this piece. So that should be at least the issue that you have with it.
I think the nation needs to sit down and prioritize what needs to take place in law enforcement. If you keep because what it looks like, again, we talk about perception. What do people see when they see this? They're like, okay, yeah, you want to give the police officers more power and more rights, but damn, hold on. The stuff we've been asking you to do to fix the police problem, you're not addressing. What does that mean, though? It doesn't mean that what the governor did isn't right. What he did was absolutely correct. I think what's happening is people feel like it's disingenuous because they're looking at it from this aspect of, we are asking you to punish, right? It's almost like if you had a kid and the kid is doing wrong, right? The kid just got in a fight at school, got suspended, did a whole bunch of foolishness, came home, tore the house up, right? This is the child. This is what the child did. The child should be disciplined when the mother and the father come home. The child should be disciplined for what the child did. But then the parents come home, right? And they give the kid some allowance money. Then they give the kid a video game and say, we're going to discipline you later. Because right now, today's your birthday, right? Today's your birthday. Even though you did wrong, today's your birthday. We're still going to celebrate your birthday. And then we're going to talk about what you did wrong later. This is kind of what it looks like to me. It doesn't mean that you don't celebrate the birthday. But the problem is you're not addressing what people are asking you to address. So it's not saying that what the governor did, in my opinion, with this bill, I think it's a good idea. I think all the things on there are legitimate. I think the problem people are upset with, from what I've been reading, is that people want other issues addressed too. These things can both be done at the same time, but of course, people prioritize what they decide to prioritize.
Well, that's not my issue with it.
What's your issue?
I'm going to give you a current, recent example.
Okay.
When I say recent, January the 10th.
All right.
Okay. This happened in Houston County. Okay. Houston County, right? Georgia. An officer, has been fired. Now, I can appreciate they didn't pull any punches. He was fired. He was sent home, no pay. He has the opportunity to 10 days to appeal, but pretty much you're gone because he's been on the force for years. But in wake of the Ahmaud Arbery sentencing is where, remember earlier we talked about that hate, that passion. He couldn't contain it any longer. So he puts out a Facebook post and he says, well, this is exactly what it said. Well, Ahmaud Arbery still got the death sentence too.
Oh, yeah. I saw that today.
Right. Okay. You said it today. Mm-hmm. That's the problem I have with this vague bill because there's so many hidden. Like, we know about the bad ones because and I appreciate the bad officers that are out here with videotaping. I know who they are. Okay. This dude, this chick, they're bad. The problem I have is that guy, not for that post, he carries that around his daily duties. And now you're giving him more.
That's the problem in general with law enforcement, though, right? This is what I was saying. How do you filter those people out? I don't know. I said this on another stream. Listen, here's the thing. This is a perfect way to look at it. You have a homosexual person. You have a racist. You have a pedophile. You have a Satanist. You have a Christian. You have a Muslim. You have a drug dealer. You have a gang member. You have a criminal, right? What do all these people have in common? They all wear the uniform. They're all police officers. The question is, how do you filter them out? The problem is, it's not the profession, it's the people who are doing the job. How do we get the right people in this profession? How do we get the wrong ones out? Listen, when I was in the academy, there was like 55 of us. I knew right off the bat, 15 had no business being there. But the department pushed them because they needed numbers. They're pushing people because they need bodies. You had people who were doing the job simply because they didn't like the job they were doing. They needed something else to do. That's not a good reason to be an officer.
I don't think. I think racism, sexism. I think all of this is just as common as the air that we breathe. And as long as there's air, there's going to be racism, sexism, hate. So that's not the issue. It's not about trying to sift these people out, discover where they are. That's not what it's about. What it's about is what has taken place thus far with Derek Chauvin, with the McMichaels, cut with the trash in the trial, give these people the business because what ends up happening, we live in here in Georgia. I'm not from here, but I remember Buckhead. You know, Buckhead
Yeah.
was the scene, was the happening. Well, the
Right.
citizens of Buckhead decided that they didn't want it to be the happenings. So they hired their own coalition to
Right.
police Buckhead.
Right.
And if you didn't get to Buckhead by like 11, 12 o'clock, you couldn't get in there. They rerouted you back away from the city, right? Now, what ended up in the comparative thing that I'm doing here is when people let you know straight up, this is not, we don't want you here. So what did they started doing? I mean, they were booting people's, I mean, I'm talking about like $250 boots on your car. You know, it was bad. And so people just said, okay, okay, all right, you win. You don't want me coming down here. I'm not coming.
Right.
And if they start seeing this is not tolerated from the legal, those protections there are not there anymore. And I think you think about Ahmaud Arbery, 11 white jurors. I wasn't really concerned about the the outcome. You know why? Because again, I'm sports A-Delic. I'm about stats, data. I go underneath, right?
Mm-hmm.
The majority of those jurors were millennials. Millennials not playing that.
That's true.
Millennials, they don't subscribe to racism, sexism, discrimination, hate. And so I was like, oh, as much as they thought that they were putting the fix in, they really didn't. You know,
Right.
so it's not, it's going to always exist.
That's
So we have
true.
to accept that.
And I do, and I accept it. It's the people who don't accept it. I think,
Well,
you
we got to
can't
get them to the point where they need to accept it.
well, the reality is people want all these laws on race and all this kind of stuff. Listen, you can't legislate love. I can't force you to love me. I can't force you to love my skin color. If you don't like my skin color, I really don't care. This is my whole thing. Me and you talked about it briefly about race, about white supremacy and white privilege. I told you I don't believe in any of that. We talked about it. I said, listen, I don't believe in any of it. It doesn't matter to me. Nobody's supreme over me. This thing is
Unless you think that they are.
unless you think that they are.
Right.
All these things that we go through, it's hard because we're talking about the mind. We talking about perceptions, reality. It's real to some people. Listen, white supremacy is a real thing to some Black people in our community. It's a real thing. They're the boogeyman. So I know some Black people who they don't know any white people, never met any, and so their perception is skewed. I know some white people who just met some Black people for the first time. They don't know any. This is a game of ignorance. Two people's inability to come together and have a conversation. Folks.
Well, let me push back. Let me push back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me push back a little bit. Let's go with Ahmaud Arbery's parents.
Mm-hmm.
Before this happened to their son, they may not have believed in white supremacy. Then everything stays the same, and how things evolved and what it took to get to this point. Did you think that would change their perception of white supremacy or white privilege based on that experience? Because I think our experiences matter.
True. Our experiences do matter, but our interpretation of those experiences matters even greater than that.
So how should they interpret? How should Ahmaud Arbery's parents interpret that situation?
It depends, right? It depends on their understanding, it depends on their level of understanding of life and what's actually taking place in this. Right? Everyone swims at different depths, right? I don't know where their mind is at. This stuff goes down to like how well do you understand what's going on, right? This matrix of a world that we're living. If you understand it, if you really understand it, you look at things differently. What did Martin say? Judge me by my character, not my skin color. This is how we should all be looking at one another. People call us Black race, white race. Listen, there's only one race. It's human race. Tell that to someone who doesn't understand that concept, though, right?
Right.
This is the difference. So when you know that, if I send a group, if I send 13% of the white population here in the United States, and I send them over to Africa, the continent, are they going to say there's black privilege? Are they going to say it's black supremacy over there? You see what I'm saying? It's different.
Well, I think, as a counselor in and around mental health, I always lean towards as much compassion as I can. I don't care what someone's done. I still find that what good that may be there. And I'm saying that to say this. You're going to be hard pressed to convince my parents that, white privilege, white supremacy, those kind of, and our grandparents, and I agree. The reason why,
before you say that, not to cut you off, Rima, you made a very, very important point. What did you say? You said your parents. What year did they grow up in? They grew up in a time with systemic racism, where there were laws against black people, right? We're talking about there were laws. We're talking about right now. What's going on right now? Show me the systems, right?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what's going on right now. The difference is, in spite of the atrocities, my parents didn't teach us to be hateful, spiteful, evil, and shot out.
Correct.
That's the difference. What I love about black people, we are the most forgiving, the most understanding. We are all over here on the Old Testament. We go turn the other cheek. We go keep turning. And I love that about us, to the point where it makes me stay up at night and smoke cigars and drink fruit punch, because sometimes we got to stop loving so damn much.
Well, we need to love ourselves more than we sometimes.
Bingo, us. Yes, exactly.
Sometimes you have to be selfish, I agree. Before we go further, I want to touch on one thing with what Edwin Garcia said about qualified immunity. Let's put qualified immunity into context. There are some things about qualified immunity I don't like, and I'm going to tell you what it is I don't like. The problem with qualified immunity is that it protects all officers, good and bad. That's the piece people don't like.
Bingo. I don't like it either.
That's the part I don't like about qualified immunity. It gives an umbrella of protection over officers, even when they know they messed up and they know they're wrong. What is it really? What is the best way for me to explain qualified immunity? I'm gonna explain it like this. I haven't done a video on it yet, but let me explain it like this, you guys. The most efficient way to explain it. And I'm gonna tell you why I don't like it. And here's the thing with qualified immunity. The courts are saying this, and this is all about civil. This is all about civil suit, right? When you want to sue an officer. All right. This is the thing with qualified immunity. What are they saying? I always like to bring this back down to children. I'm gonna let my psychologist here break it down, right? I'm
not a psychologist.
What was it?
Counselor. Psychiatrist, counselors, mental health. I'm a counselor.
Psychiatrist makes the prescriptions, right? Writes prescriptions
and diagnoses. Yes.
And diagnoses. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this from this perspective, you guys. When we talk about children, this is the best way to look at it. This is why I don't like qualified. This is why I don't like parts of qualified immunity. If you have a child and your child takes a bobby pin, and for those who don't know what bobby pins are, if your child takes a pin, right?
Oh my God.
Because that might be a cultural thing, right? So a child takes a pin and they stick a pin into the electrical socket, right? This is the first time they did it. This is the first time they did it. You never told the child not to do that before, right? You never told the child not to do that. You haul off and smack the child across the head because you're like, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Or the second option is you tell the child not to do it. You don't punish the child. Why? Because you never told the child that they should not have done that. At no point in time have you ever told the child that. So is it fair to discipline the child when the child did wrong and you never told them it was wrong? That is qualified immunity, you guys, with police officers. It is, hey, this particular situation has never happened before in the courts. The courts have never seen a case like this. So the officer made some mistakes, but the officer was acting in good faith. But because there's nothing to show, no one has ever said, hey, you can't do this. This situation is so unique. It's so different. It's never been done before. It's not fair to punish an officer because of that. That is, in a nutshell, and the most simplistic way to explain it, that's qualified immunity. What is the problem with that? It covers even bad officers when they make a mistake, when you know they made a mistake, when they violated their own policies, right? What does the court do with qualified immunity? They say, hey, even though you were driving down the road, you ran this person over, we know that this has happened in the courts before, but what did you do different in this moment? You were driving down the road and then you sneezed and then you hit the person. The court is saying, okay, we can't charge the officer. Why? Because that's totally different than what happened before, right? That's the problem. The court protects the officers using these real minor changes and differences and all these little different nuances when it's really the same thing. It's really the same variables. But because one little thing is different, they say you're not going to be able to find the officer at fault because this is such a unique situation. And this is where people have an issue with qualified immunity. There has to be something on the books that already occurred that the court has addressed and said that this is unacceptable. But here's the problem with policing. Not 1-2 situations will ever be the same. That's why there's so many officers that always get protected by qualified immunity because, listen, no one scenario will ever be the same as the other. Rima.
Nathan, I have to push back because there's one piece in the law that makes it 100%, in my opinion, where officers should not be allowed to have qualified immunity.
Okay.
You know what it's called?
What's
It's
that?
one word: foreseeable.
Okay.
Foreseeable. Now, here's what I'm saying. I'm driving through, let's say, the grocery store parking lot. There's two things that I know at all times. There's other cars and there's patrons coming in and out of the grocery store.
Right.
So if I come streaking through there at 50 miles per hour and kill 2 people, I mean, see, it's not about your title. It's about, was it foreseeable that pedestrians would be doing this? And if you go through a high rate of speed, you're going to kill them. And so it's not the court that's the issue. The issue is, the blue.
When you say foreseeable, though, let me push back on that. Let me push back on the foreseeable part, because the problem with law enforcement that protects a lot of officers, which is why qualified immunity is necessary, is this piece right here. It's the split-second decision making. The problem is we could circumvent around that if we had officers that were trained better, right? You guys, listen, I'm going to post a video this week about my OC spray, how I got sprayed with my own spray on the job. You guys voted for that. And I'm going to talk about that. And that story of the incident that I had where I got sprayed with my own weapon, right? When we talk about things that are foreseeable, we're talking about things that happen so quickly in the heat of the moment. This is why qualified immunity is there. The problem with qualified immunity is it doesn't account for officers that are grossly negligent, and they're negligent. They still have a little wiggle room. And so there are some adjustments. I'm going to do a video on it because I know that's a video within itself. I'm going to point out the things that I believe need to be changed to where both sides can still be happy. There's a way. There's always a way. It's just that some of us as officers, the powers that be on our side in the profession are very stubborn.
I don't know. I have to push back. Split-second decision.
Okay.
Here's where I'm pushing back, because it's the police. It's the police that constantly puts out their narrative that there's no such thing as a routine stop. So that suggests to me that there's some things that you've already foresee that could happen. at the drop of a hat, because you saying it, not us. There's no such thing. We encounter people, we may be pulling them over because their insurance, but it turns into blah, 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 to your situation. Okay. So you know that there's going to be some split second stuff. You've already told us that, because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as routine. We know what routine is.
Right.
Okay. And that's my only issue is you can't have it all. You just can't have it all.
You can't have it all, but you do have to have some protections though, because there are things that can't be accounted for. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I'm trying to see if I want to use me on this one or if I want to use something that everybody knows about.
I want you to use you.
Listen, so in my situation, you guys know, for those who know or those who don't know, why I had to medically retire from law enforcement. You guys, I was dragged down the interstate. I was hanging from a vehicle at high speeds. I was rammed against vehicles going down the interstate. All right. I had some options available to me. I could have shot the driver. I could have shot him. I would have been justified. But let's say, right, let's play devil's advocate. Say I shot the driver who was intentionally dragging me down the interstate. He was trying to take my life. I shoot him and I kill him. He loses control. He strikes another vehicle on the highway and he kills that person. Right? That innocent person whose life should have never been taken, they were almost, as you could say, with all due respect, collateral damage. They died because of an incident that was created by me, but it was started by the suspect. Who are they going to sue? They're going to sue me. They're going to sue the police department. Now we go to court and they say, hey, we want to sue the officer because his actions, his negligence, right, caused the death of my loved one. What is the court going to say? They're going to say, nah, qualified immunity. Why? How does because this is where qualified immunity comes in. An officer was doing his just duties. He was justified. He or she was justified. Someone unintentionally was hurt or killed because of that. Now you want to sue the department. Qualified immunity, guys. That's what protects officers.
Can I push back?
It'll also protect the officer if an officer wasn't justified, right? There's
Can I
ways
push back?
around that. Go ahead.
My pushback is this. Again, the training, the internal policies, procedures. You can shoot the guy in the face. You could have.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where the department could have really gained some community help. And I'm gonna tell you what they should have did was really celebrate it. Use your whole entire video as a teaching method in the training academy, because you fell on your training. You know why? Because you knew, if I shoot this guy in the face, this can turn into a whole lot of people can be killed.
Right.
All of this is going through your mind. And so our citizens want to know, well, what is it about, the Phoenix, Nathan, that can, follow his training, because that you took the job to the point where I'm not going to risk everyone else. This is me out here, because you knew the worst could really have happened if you'd have shot the guy in the face. And that's something that we talked about. And I do understand that stuff, happens.
Right.
But you're right. Just fix the piece where we're not going to. Well, I don't know. Chauvin, Potter, like.
No, the problem is, and there needs to be, regardless, you can't stop it all, right? The problem is we need to reduce.
Bingo.
We need to reduce it. Right? You're not going to be able to stop it all. There's no TLA told me this on a stream I did with him, and he's absolutely right. There's no absolutes in this game. Right? There's no absolute. There's no way to get 100% of racist people out of the profession. out of this country. That's it.
Not going to happen.
You can't end world hunger, right? Like there's certain things you just can't, but we can reduce it. We could do better than what we are doing right now. I think that's the problem. The problem, people know this can be a lot better, right? People know we could do better at it, and we're not. We're failing. And that's what I think people want to. People know you can't. Come on. They know there's bad people in all professions. But these folks are, look, there's too many bad ones and they're getting away with it. Listen, I got a super sticker. Charlotte Stray.
All right,
Damn.
Charlotte, bringing
Thank
it
you
in.
so much, Charlotte. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for the donations. You guys, it really means a lot.
I have a question from one of my viewers.
Oh yeah, that's what's up. Bring it up.
They
got what they got.
This is from his name is Super Rich.
Super Rich.
I don't know if he's really super rich. I'm just telling you, super rich.
Hey, words of power.
He said his issue is, what about the officers that escalate a situation instead of de-escalating, and then they get qualified immunity when they escalated the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean,
all right, Mr. Okay, thank you, sir.
That's my man.
444.
Yeah, he's good people. Me and him we're gonna do a show
together. Subscribe.
Yeah, listen, you guys. Those who are new to the channel, moderators, if you could please drop Mr. 444's channel in the description. He's a great guy. We're gonna do some work together, and also please drop Sports A-Delic channel back again in the chat for those. You guys, please reach out to her. Please subscribe to her channel. As you see, full of wisdom. And very pleasant when she's only pleasant on the screen. Behind the screen, she'd be ripping me a new one, you guys. She'd be talking me down. All right. So, but it's all love. She's always giving me some good advice and good wisdom. So I really appreciate her. I'm glad that she's here on the channel, you guys. So please check her channel out. So where are, let me see. Well,
I want you to go.
His question is his question to what he's saying.
Yes.
Here's the problem. And this is also piggybacks off of what you just said too when you were talking about me. Listen, you guys, all police officers aren't created equal. Nope. This is the reality. We're all different. Who am I as an individual? If you really want to know who I am, see who my parents are, who raised me. Look at my culture. What's my religion? What's my faith? Right? Do I practice? Does it mean anything to me? You guys, as a police officer, we are filtering our job through our personality, through our character. Who am I as a person? Who am I as a person, you guys? This stuff matters. This is why everybody can't do this job. Everybody shouldn't do this job. Everybody shouldn't be allowed to do this job. Listen, this should be the hardest profession to get into. Look at the power we have. You have people who can't handle the power that they're given.
Right.
No one taught them how to handle power. If someone gave you $1 million today, you wouldn't know what to do with it. You're brand new. You're acting brand new. If I gave Rima $1 million, she'd be brand new right now. I promise you.
You would have to give me $2 million. I've already done. Yeah.
Oh, you big money, big money. Okay, we got to talk about that. You need to put your boy on. You need to put your boy on. Listen, this is the problem. Power corrupts a weak mind, a weak spirit, you guys. Power corrupts. And what you see a lot of times in this profession are a lot of people who don't know how to handle power. Listen, this is a job where people give you power for free. You don't have to earn it. They're giving it to you. And what comes with this power? Respect, automatic respect. What needs to change in policing? You should have to obligated to earn the respect from the people you talk to. When you see me in uniform, I need to earn your respect, not the other way around. You give me respect, I never earned it. What does that do to a person's ego? It takes them over and beyond, you guys. This is the problem. I knew people, I worked at the precinct where they taught the academy. So I would see all the new recruits come in, humble, appreciative, grateful to have a job, ready to learn. Give them about 6 months. You can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. What happens when an officer steps out in the public? People are bowing, they're submitting to you. You never earned it. You never deserved it. And if you're not careful, you lose yourself in that. You lose yourself. I had moments where I slipped up, you guys. I had moments. But guess who I had? I had friends and family to slap me in place. I had my brother one time punch me in my chest and try to slam me to the ground. Say, hey, listen, you put your hands on me, that's you going to jail. He said, listen, bro, I don't care who you think you are. This is my brother. I was playing, but he hit me for real. He hit me for real.
So I guess it's fair to say that you don't support qualified immunity for officers that it's proven and verified that they were the aggressor, that they were the escalator of that situation.
It's hard to say because even if an officer is an aggressor, right? Say an officer is being extra. Perfect example.
Derek Chauvin.
No, because I will say no to that because he wasn't resisting an arrest. I think.
Well, no, the officer was being extra.
Yeah. But my thoughts on it is, if the officer has legitimate, what are the biggest problems with law enforcement, and when they enforce these and they're putting force on citizens, the biggest problem is when a citizen is resisting arrest.
Right.
We could reduce a lot of these deaths, a lot of these issues, these bad encounters with law enforcement, no matter what you think of their attitude, no matter what you think of their ego. We can reduce a lot of problems if we just don't resist arrest, you guys. If an officer has a legitimate reason, if you violated the law, if you're supposed to go to jail, you guys put your hands behind your back. You need to cooperate. You don't fight the officer on the scene, you fight them in court. Listen, there's no justification for it. You'll never, ever hear me say there's justification for resisting arrest, even when you're right. You better have your camera on. Pray to God there's an extra witness. You guys, you have to cooperate with the law. You fight in court. You don't fight on the street. You're not going to win that battle. And even if you do win the battle, your family is the one collecting the check. What is the problem? We talking about Ahmaud Arbery. That wasn't with the police. But let's talk about Dante Wright. What was the situation? He resisted arrest and he was in the wrong. He was going to jail regardless, with or without the warrant, because he had no license. All he had to do was allow himself to be put in handcuffs. He played Russian roulette and he lost. He gambled with the officer that wasn't qualified enough to do her job. You guys, this is the problem. You don't know what you get when you get it. Well, they say police are like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. You better pray you get someone who's talented, skillful, mature to do their job properly. What you got for me, Rima?
Well, I think I agree with you 1,000%. I do.
Woo, for the first one, take note, moderators.
Well, I
take the time on that.
I just keep it. I keep it real. If I agree, I agree. If I don't, I don't.
With you.
But I do agree. If you get behind the wheel of a car, you know that your license are suspended. You know that the tag is expired. You know you don't have insurance, and you know that you have a kilo of cocaine in the trunk. You should comply when you stopped. If you're dirty, eat the humble pie and keep it moving. But again, I'm over here on the counseling psychology side of things. And a person can accumulate so much injustice to where, and that's something that we also know. We know when somebody's messing with us.
Right.
Picking. I've had it happen to me. I've been pulled over by the police, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "Why are your eyes red?" I don't know. I said, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm tired. But he just kept on. He was looking for something. But again, I'm reading him. I understood he's looking for something. I'm going to outsmart you. I'm going to beat you at your own game because I'm going to go home and not in a body bag. But I'm not a man. I'm not a man. So I think some officers infringe upon a man's manhood.
Yes.
And a man is willing to die for his manhood.
Yes.
For his manhood. And just maybe if they would just remember, I'm a man and I don't want somebody trying to take my manhood. And I think that's the biggest difference. It's not about complying, it's about you're trying to take my manhood
Yeah.
and you don't have to be coming at me like that. That's just my humble opinion.
That's an amazing opinion. I will say this. I would work domestics. Listen, you guys, to the moderators, thank you guys for the conversation in the chat. I'm covering, I'm gonna pull some comments up. Listen, you guys, if you want to join, I'm gonna start calling people up. Moderators, if you could drop the link for people who are interested to come up and have a conversation. I want to get you guys in as well.
Don't come in here with no tomfoolery. Now we're about stats and facts.
Stacks.
Stats and facts.
Do
Don't
like
just
my
come in.
last. Don't come up here like my last live stream.
Yeah,
Shout out to
don't come up here.
Program X. He came up here with the BS. I love him though. He's a good dude. But
Yeah, we love him. We just don't love the BS.
we don't love the BS. Listen, you guys, it's not about being right, it's about being accurate. I'm not above being corrected. I'm not here for that, you guys. Ain't no ego here. All right. Rima will tell you, ain't no ego up here right now. We're having a conversation, we're sharing thoughts, and we're learning from one another. What did Rima say though? That I gotta agree with 1,000%.
Whoa.
Yeah, for the books. Put it for the books. What happens on the street, you guys, when officers dealing with men, especially black men? What do I see? I see black men's pride being tested. A lot of brothers out here, some of us, a lot of us was raised by our mamas. All right, we're emotional. I call them RBMs, raised by moms. There's an emotional thing going on in our community, but we don't know how to express ourselves properly, and we allow our emotions to dictate our behaviors. What do I see? I see officers disrespecting people, and when you disrespect the wrong man, I've been in domestics where the man was wrong, and he was willing to go to jail behind assaulting the officer out of disrespect. Mm-hmm. I almost had him in the handcuffs, and then someone showed up talking trash. Okay. And that man was like, you know what? Come closer, officer, and say it to my face. Right. You want to take me to jail? What did he say? He said, you're going to have to earn it. Listen, you guys.
Get it with your muscle.
Put your chest in it. Let me tell you something about me, you guys. I like to keep people calm. I'm not with agitating people for the hell of it. Now, listen, I'll tell a person all day, I have a method in law enforcement. I call it the ATM method. ATM. Ask, tell, and make in that order. And I don't repeat. I'll ask you one time, sir, you're coming with me. You're going to jail. I'm asking you, can you please just put your hand behind your back? Then I'm going to tell you, put your hands behind your back. Listen, after that, there's nothing else to talk about. Why? You know you're under arrest. You know you're going to jail. All games are off, you guys. What happens after that? Now I have to use force. Don't put me in a position where I have to use force. So when I'm dealing with people, I'm very polite. If it's safe, I'm going to have a conversation with you. But there are some people who don't care, their ego. They enforce law through their ego. Their behavior is about them. What do? They come here and they're disrespectful to people. People still want to be treated with respect. What is the problem, especially in our community? We don't handle authority well coming from white men. I'm just call it what it is. Because I've seen white officers do the same thing that I would do, say things the same way I would say it, and they call that officer a racist. Listen, you guys, it has nothing to do with that. I've seen it firsthand. It's not to discredit that we don't have bad officers, or it's not to say that there's white officers that aren't racist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we have to be careful how we throw that word racist around. Be so cavalier. Sometimes when it's time to go to jail, it's time to go to jail, you guys. It's time to go to jail. And an officer's behavior can dictate how smooth that process goes. So there's no doubt about that. What did Trash Can Wave say? I want to pull this up as well. He says, I predict more black fathers in prison after this bill. He's talking about the bill for police rights. Listen, the only person who puts you in jail is yourself. Let's not get it twisted, you guys. The highest percentage, I ain't gonna put a number on it. I would say the gross majority of people who are in jail because they put themselves there. Rima.
Can I get you to sip? Would you please sip some of your apple juice?
You so disrespectful. Don't be telling people this apple juice.
I need for you to get on your juice box. There you go. Take that down. There you go. Breathe.
Calm down.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You're so stupid.
Now I want you to rephrase.
I'm putting some Hennessy in this thing in a minute.
I want you to rephrase.
Well, what are your thoughts on what I said? What should be rephrased?
That's the easy piece. The majority of people in jail, they put themselves there.
That's true.
When we have statistical data that says that, hey, people that look brown and black are disproportionately being sent here. So just by that alone tells you that maybe not. And at the juvenile justice level, this is kids age 13 to 17, Superior Court charges, facing minimum mandatory 10-year sentences on the minimum, right?
And those are felonies that she's referring to, you guys.
Yeah, it's one of more 7 deadly sentence, right?
Okay.
So I've seen stuff on the front end of the whole, like I've seen it, and that's what I used to do. I would fight for, please explain to me if it's party to a crime and everybody's charged with the same thing. I need to understand, why did the little brown boy get 40 years and the boy that's not brown got a wilderness program? And what I'm saying is, I just think when there's disproportion, not everyone is really going to be getting there because they put themselves there. That's all I'm saying, Nathan.
No, you're fine. But see, you're making two arguments though.
I always do.
What is okay? But let's. What you're talking about is the racial disparities when it comes to sentencing, right? The sentencing disparities between white and black. That is a legitimate problem. What did they identify? They stated that they talk about 25% more black people when committing a similar offense to a white person. Their sentencing what?
Oh my God! Drink some more juice.
The sentences, right?
The sentencing.
The sentencing. Oh, have mercy.
Oh my God.
I don't know where my tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. The sentencing is 25% higher than their.
That's because the police officer has too much authority at the scene.
No, that's not the police officer who does that. The police officer.
Can I finish? Can I finish? I'm telling you what I know.
Okay.
The police officer at the scene is the first point of contact that puts the ridiculous charge out there in the first place.
But the DA, though.
No, but I'm saying because of systemic stuff. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that they're really putting themselves there, Nathan Hot Dogs. I don't know that they are.
It depends, Nathan Hot Dogs. It depends on how you look at it, right? Let's dial back one step though. There's two different conversations. We're talking about a person committing a crime. Trash Can Wave says, I predict more fathers in prison. What is he referring to? He's referring to that crime bill that the Clintons dropped, right? That's what he's talking about. What I'm saying is a law has to be broken. We're not talking about the small percent where we have people abusing their power on the streets, locking people up when they have no business being arrested for. We're talking about legitimate arrests, all right? So let me preface with that. Let's talk about.
So you want to change the variable? Go ahead.
Well, no, he made a very broad statement. There's no context to it. He said, I predict more black fathers in prisons after this bill is passed. I said, that's not accurate to say. Why? Because you have to commit a crime to be arrested. And the percentage of those officers who are out here abusing their power doesn't speak for the majority that are actually legitimately committing crimes.
I don't know, Nathan. The bill suggests that You can be perceived of committing the crime.
Then, okay, so let's go over the bill. This is what it says. Let me read. A person commits the offense of bias motivated intimidation. This is against a first responder. That's police, firefighters, and sheriff, and so forth and so on.
The last line, sir.
Right. When it's like a Bible verse, you can't just read the first. You got to go up a scripture, down a scripture, right? You got to get the context. A person commits the offense of bias motivated intimidation when such person maliciously and with the specific intent to intimidate, harass, or terrorize. Because those things do happen. So it's going to be a charge. What does this mean? We need to have a conversation. What does that really mean? What does that look like? Listen, that means everybody needs to be respectful. Because if you're not respectful, there's a good chance that you're going to be charged with something. What does it say? Because of that person's actual or perceived, they're talking about the employment of the first responder, meaning that if you are perceiving this person as a first responder and you treat them as such, harass, intimidate. I mean, listen, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of debate around this law because people are going to want to know, right? Like you said it earlier. It's vague. There's some vagueness to it. What does it mean to intimidate? And here's the problem. The problem is not the law. The problem is going to be the abuse of it. It's always the abuse. Again, it's not the tool. It's the person wielding it. I'm always going to stay firm on that. If you have immature people with ego, and you're giving them this law, of course, why would they? I mean, of course you're going to have abuse. There's no way around it. Let me listen.
Well, I think that was to his point. As a result of the vagueness.
That's true.
I'll take it a step further. I don't think it's just going to be fathers. I think even some mothers. I mean, you're a mother. You go to the scene. Your child is laying here shot. You're going to be what most parents would be, and if you are a little intimidating,
right,
you could get hit with something.
That's true.
So I mean, it's not just fathers. I don't think.
No, I mean I mean laws apply to everyone. I mean, I think what happens. What does Norman Blake say? The problem is leaders in the police unions. I don't disagree with that.
We agree, Norman.
Yeah, right on, Norman. Here's the problem, Norman. The problem is power. And sometimes you get people in places and they lose their way. They lose their intentions. I've seen it. I've seen people climb the ranks and become brand new. They become politics. Listen, this job is about serving people. You need to have that same heart and that same mentality all the way up the ladder. And unfortunately, some people get a little too high up on the ladder and they forget what their job description is. Just because you're a chief, just because you're the CEO, just because you're the mayor, doesn't change anything. You should be a servant first. I've always said, listen, if you can't do this job for free, then you shouldn't be doing this job at all. You need to have a passion and a love for people, is what I'm saying, Rima. You look like you're about to struggle with that. What does Yolanda Soto say? Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yolanda, so much for that. You done drank so much of that Wonder Juice. You over there slipping and sliding.
I'm older than you.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I've been doing this a long time. It's all good over.
Go ahead with your old self then.
It's all good over here. Okay?
Tell the audience what your age is then, since you're so loud and proud about old.
I am proud. I am 50 years old.
What?
Or 50 years young.
Well, and you look amazing. You look amazing for your age. But you know how that melanin do.
So what is this? Can you see that? Can you see that?
That's I can't see a little lady on there though.
Well, see if you had the wisdom and the knowledge, you would know from the little lady. Okay. So
all right. We got to do a show. You put us on about some cigars. You know, I'm a cigar connoisseur. Is that okay to say?
Well, if I'm a connoisseur, what are you?
A cigar baby sewer. I'm young. What do you call it?
That's why. Hey, if you're into cigars, can I take this opportunity?
Go ahead. Do it.
Hey, if you want to up your game as it relates to the Leaf Life, please subscribe to Sports A-Delic. Every week I do a cigar and spirits.
Bam.
Because everything is about pairing for the full enjoyment of the cigar. And that's why you can catch the show. We give you tips on how to understand what you're putting in your mouth. Okay. And then how to properly cut and all of those kinds of things. Fair enough. Drink some of your juice.
Fair
Get on
enough.
your juice box.
Juice. Yolanda, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys also thank you everybody who's supporting the channel. Listen, you guys, it goes a long way when you support. It does, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful. I'm really grateful.
I want you to please go to another line item in that bill so we can discuss it.
Yes, ma'am. Let's talk about peace officers shall have the right to bring. What are your thoughts, you guys, everybody? What are your thoughts on police officers being able to sue organizations and leaders of organizations for just in general, for, you know, intimidating, harassing them and things and such, so forth and so on? What are your thoughts on that? Just having that ability to do so. That's actually the first. Should I go to the next line item? That seems like your answer.
No, nobody. Oh, I thought you was going to ask some other.
I'm scrolling down. I want to get your thoughts as I'm scrolling.
Well, I told you. I told you and the viewers from my earlier. I'm for the police. Yes, if you out there wilding out over the top. The problem is, like we discussed already, Nathan Hot Dogs, that it's about
the best hot dogs, actually.
It's about the who it protects ultimately. See, the good officer that's following policy, procedure, protocol will never ever have to tap into this new law. But I guarantee you, the suspect officers are going to be the ones, because they already have an axe to grind, because we don't know. See, the danger is the officers we don't know about. Like I told you earlier, the officer in Houston, like the bad officer, I'm glad that the knee is on the neck. I can see that. You know, I know it's you. You're not really the super dangerous one. The dangerous one is the chiefs, you know, the lieutenants, like the people that are able to make decisions. So, but I think it's ludicrous that the bottom line is, let's just call a spade a spade. We gave you wanted this hate bill. Okay, we gave you that. And I think Black Lives Matter is an organization. And I think that people that support their movement, some of those people are wilding out. Black Lives Matter is a peaceful protest organization, which has been documented and proven, you know. But if Roddy Piper decides that he wants to support Black Lives Matter and come with his rowdiness, then the organization gets swept up in that. And then now you got 5-0 saying, I'm suing the organization. I mean, that.
Yeah, the problem is, as any law, I think with this too, there's room for abuse. I think I could definitely say that. I mean, there's going to be room for abuse. You're going to have people who are going to do it.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. You are a police officer. When you go on patrol, you're responsible for the vehicle that you're driving.
Correct.
We now have a law that, I'm not saying this is right, but if someone destroys or dent up your police car and something crazy, the law is now making it really be yours, and then you can take me to court. You know, but don't we already have laws on the book for damaging people's property, regardless of their title? It's just property, which my taxpayers' dollars are paying for. Now you're going to take me to court, and I got to deal with the legal piece of it under this law, 1 to 5 years. And now you're going to take me to civil court because the police car is now being treated as like your personal vehicle.
This is where my bias comes in. And this is where my accountability comes in. I hear what you're saying. Don't listen. Everybody needs to keep their hands to themselves, right?
I agree with that.
And so, I've had cases where people have broken my police car. They've done all kind of stuff to my equipment. And yeah, you're right. We already have laws for that. But what does this bill? What does this HB 838 say? It says I'm gonna put this thing on steroids. I'm gonna put it on steroids. I'm gonna hook you up.
Well, why can't it just be collateral damage like anything else?
Listen, I don't know, but I like the bill though. Listen, I hear what you're saying. Honestly, I don't have an answer to it because what type of person am I? I'm a person of accountability. So with me, it doesn't really matter. You shouldn't have been doing the crime anyways. There's no justification for it. So I don't really care what you get. Listen, what did my mom tell me when I was a kid? She said, listen, if you get yourself in trouble out here, there's a good chance they're going to charge you a little bit heavier than they charge a white kid your age.
Okay, Edwin is going in. Edwin is going in.
Oh, yeah, we're about to address it. And so what did I say? I said, Mom, not a problem. You won't have to worry about me because if it's going to be unfair, I have no business being there in the first place. The question is, it should not be unfair, right? The system needs to be equitable for everybody. And there's a way to get it that way. There's a way to get it that way. We could do it.
So I guess to hell with the mentally ill. They just shouldn't be doing it.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Although they don't know that they're doing it.
Supposedly, but
there are cases
regardless, they need to be handled differently anyways. And so, that's a conversation.
I was just checking because how you said it, I was having concern.
We're talking about people who have the mental capacity and they know what they're doing.
Well, you didn't say that.
Come on now, we're talking mens rea. We're talking folks who know what they're doing. All right. Now let's state the obvious. We're talking about able, mature people who know they're doing wrong. We're talking about accountability. So if you're damaging police stuff, guess what? You know better.
Right, but why should it be anything extra? It's covered under the Georgia Code.
It is.
I just want you to be able to have enough.
You're like, why do we need seasoning for something that's already spicy?
I'm like,
I don't know. But listen, my mom cooked with good seasoning. Sometimes I tell her she put too much.
And you know what happens? Your blood pressure go up, you have a heart attack, and you die. Okay?
Facts. Okay. But not from seasoning, though.
Well, if it's salt, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we talking spices. You talking salt. We don't cook.
Well, I'm the cook. Between you and I'm the cook. So let that go.
I heard you couldn't cook worth for the damn, Rima.
You didn't hear that.
What did Edwin?
You see how the police lie? You see how the police lie? You see how they make stuff up?
I didn't lie. I made a statement.
You made it up. Where did it come from? Who told you that? Yeah, you see how they do? Now he's protected under this law. Because if I go at him, because if I go at him and he thinks I'm being intimidating, I can get 5 years.
Yep, I'm charging.
Is that how it goes down?
No, but you know what? Someone mentioned in the chat. Listen, what is the purpose of this? This is to protect officers from these out of control activists. Listen, it's gotten out of control. It's gotten out of control. What did Edwin Garcia say? I think that bill opens up violations of First Amendment rights. Yes, I think so too. It possibly could. Depends on how they enforce it. It depends.
I think Vanessa needs to be brought in.
Edwin, come on up if you want to talk.
No, Vanessa, I wish you could hear me screaming.
Oh, you're watching. You can see the chat too. Let me scroll down. I'm missing some stuff.
Yeah.
Hanging them high.
Yeah, I want some of our people to come on in because they need to get this out.
He said it's a hate crime if you assault her. I don't know, man. I've had to put my hand on a couple of them, you guys. It's weird. There's certain criminals nobody really cares about. No one really cares about. Those sexual assault crimes are probably one of the hardest ones I've had to deal with to maintain my composure. I'm not gonna lie.
It's even harder when you have to counsel with them.
Oh, I can imagine. I couldn't even imagine. Interviewing sexual assault suspects are the worst. They're the worst. You want to reach over the table and actually harm them. I've never been in a position where I wanted to actually lose control with someone. Yep, never. They are the worst, you guys. They are the worst. And the sad thing about it is when you're interviewing them, they try to justify what they're doing. I've never had a situation where I wanted to actually reach over and harm somebody more than a person who committed sexual assault. The things that they do, the things that you guys will never hear about, things that never make the news, you guys, it's tough. They're hard to deal with. And then you find out what they do for work. You know, they're your pastors. You know, they're your physicians.
We got common man 80. He said a police car is public property.
Destroy it if you want to. It belongs to the government.
See, that's what I'm saying. You just can't. You have it all.
Does it matter though? You shouldn't be destroying it. Why does it matter why does all that even matter? It matters not who owns it. It matters
because I just told you it could be unforeseeable.
That's fine. But I know what's foreseeable, them handcuffs.
You know. So I'm just letting you know.
And that's the thing too. What's foreseeable with your actions? Accountability is off the chain, you guys. What black man ever charged with a hate crime? What black man was ever charged with hate crime?
You know what? Hey,
that's a good.
Smile, we got to drink to that. Smile. You know, we got. I mean, let me think. Hey,
yikes! Let me think. Oh shoot! Well, no, never mind. I was about to say your boy Jesse Smollett. He tried to stage a hate crime, and it wasn't believable. How about that?
Well, I didn't believe him either. I mean, come on, Chi-Town, a couple white cats.
And he lived? Come on.
Get out of here.
Come on, get out of here.
I like to be challenged.
Mr.
Smile, that's a challenge. We
gotta do some research on that. But I don't feel confident about that at all.
Wasn't it the sniper?
The DC sniper?
Didn't they ultimately come back and charge him with a hate crime? Because wasn't it? People were trying to say it was just because it was Caucasians.
I have to look that up. That's a good one though.
I appreciate that. You know, Mr. I like a challenge.
Listen, if you guys want to cam up, jump on. If you have a conversation, you guys want to join in on the discussion, please. Moderators, if you could drop the link, you guys, that'll be awesome. Let me see. So we talked about the damages to the property of officers, abridgment of the officer's civil rights arising out of the officer's performing official duties. So lastly, I'll talk about when it comes to this police bill, is people making false reports, false complaints on police officers. You guys, this has happened to me a few times. I talked about it on a previous video. I had a domestic situation. So this is what the law is protecting officers against. When people make false statements, filing false complaints. This is a big thing, you guys. Listen, here's the problem. It's hard for people to conceptualize officers needing more protection. But you guys don't see what officers go through. Is it okay that a person makes a false complaint, a false statement against an officer? No, it's not. It's not.
Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's vague. It's one thing.
How is that vague, Rima? It's very clear.
Baby, you cut me off. I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, let me repeat it real quick before.
No, I have it here.
Oh, okay. Please.
Yeah, reading comprehension. I
need to look at it. Okay. Oh, you said my bad. Let me step back. You got it.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay. What I'm saying is this. When I say vague, I'm saying there's a difference between filing a complaint and a police report. See, a complaint is 99% of the time kind of like your feelings, your mood, your perceptions of things. Now, if you take that to the hilt and file a actual, that's totally different. And then we've always been told the officer will tell you to your grill, hey, if you don't like it, you have an opportunity. You can go down and file a complaint.
That's true.
Now, okay, well, the complaint wasn't real. It was fake or whatever. So it's like, damn. So now I can't even file a legitimate complaint in my mind. Who's determining if it's real or not? I know you're talking about just some stone cold crap, but right, but how it's written. That's how it's written. Like what that?
Well, let's see what it's. Let me reread it. It says for filing a complaint against the officer, which the person knew was false when it was filed.
Now, listen, come on, Nathan.
So how do you think it should be worded? Do you think a complaint? I mean, if it's not legit, then it's not legit. So I think what it's saying is, hey, we have this option. Why do they say that? Because people make a lot of false complaints, and they can listen. If it can be proven that you lied and you did it with the intentions of trying to get the officer in trouble, or you did it with some bad intentions, then that's a charge for that. What does that do? Here's another problem too. Like, let's talk about sexual assault. Why they don't like when a woman makes a false, right? When she lies on someone. There was a thing at one point where they're like, hey, listen, we don't want to prosecute her because we don't want to send a message to discourage women from speaking out. I think that's BS. If you lie about something like that, then you need to go to jail. Jussie Smollett, what are they gonna say? Oh, he's emotional distress. He made all this stuff up.
Can we please compare apples and apples, please?
I'm just saying, people that lie, should it matter? If you make a false statement, if you make a lie, if you lie and they're saying, hey, you can be charged for it, in law enforcement, if you make a false statement, you can be arrested for it.
Well, what if it's a inconsistent?
If you can't prove it, you can't prove it, right?
Right, but I'm just saying, it's so vague.
What would you want them to say? What more could you have said? If the question is this, let me ask you.
I think it needs to be very, very specific, because you have a constitutional right to file a complaint. Yeah. Because you don't get to tell me if I perceive, since they get to perceive me as being intimidating, why can't I get to perceive you as doing something wrong? That's the problem I have with it.
I see what you're saying. You're saying a person filing complaint because they have an issue with the officer. Who determines whether or not that issue is valid or not?
Right, like, you know.
I get it. No, I get that. I think so. I won't say that. That's what it says. It says false when it's filed. So what I'm referring to is when people actually purposely say, "Hey, this officer assaulted me. Hey, this officer did this. This officer did that." And then they investigate it and find out that it was a lie. You say, hey, why'd you lie? I want to get the officer in trouble. Okay, jail.
I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with that scenario right there. Okay. The scenario that I have a problem with is you perceive me as being intimidated. Things get crazy. And then when I go to file a complaint about your craziness, then you're protected under your craziness now, but because it's too much perception and
there's room for abuse. There's room for abuse. What did that last subscriber pull up? They said, hey, I see some First Amendment violations. I mean, there's some, yes. Again, if you're dealing with an officer in a department that's very childish and petty, there's definitely room for abuse. What did Trash Can Wave say? Thank you so much for the super chat. He said, it's not what's a hate crime and what's not a hate crime. It's what can be skewed as a hate crime, like assaulting a pedo child. Enforce laws on the books. I mean, he's right. We got it. Like you said, remember we got the laws already. Was it necessary to put more? Was it necessary to add some spice?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why. It wasn't necessary, but I'm going to tell you why it's done.
Okay.
See, I can take a kid on my caseload and I can look at their behavior, right?
Right.
And everything I don't like about their behavior, regardless if it's because of a mental health illness or not, I don't like their behavior. I can then create a treatment plan that is very biased.
Right.
And that becomes potentially very dangerous and unfair to the youth, because once it goes in their file, it follows them.
Right.
But really, it's all my perception of the behavior. And so I don't like it. I create a plan that box you in, and then you have to reap, the blunt, of that. And they've looked at all the things that have happened. They've thrown in organizations. There needs to be some meat to it. Who at the head of an organization or prove to me that anybody from these organizations have vandalized and done all of this stuff and beat up police and, because you got it in here. If you got it in here, then it suggests something really egregious happened, but except for we don't know what it was. Like I said, you can't make Rowdy Roddy Piper, who's not a member, he don't donate, he just in Atlanta, he goes, oh, Black Lives Matter, I'm going down there to the scene. And then the organization gets dinged because they're supporting your protest.
There's so much that goes on that the citizens aren't really aware of.
Rick D said it's real, whether you know it or not.
So Rick D said white supremacy is real, whether you know it or not. White supremacy is real, whether you know it or not. I think white supremacy is only as real as a person who believes in it. I think, I'm not going to get into it on this because that's a topic for a whole nother live stream.
Yeah. We like to stay on topic here.
We're going to stay on topic. But
we're not ignoring you, Rick D. That's beyond balls deep.
That's beyond.
Yeah, we're not going beyond tonight. Not tonight.
Why was Zimmer not charged with a hate crime? First of all, the fact that he wasn't charged at all shocked me. I fell out my seat.
The wrong charge.
He got charged the wrong charge. This is the problem with you guys. Everybody wants people to be charged with murder. Listen, sometimes it's never murder. It's just manslaughter.
If they'd have went with manslaughter, the man would have been in jail.
They would have got it.
Yeah. You are liable. You caused this man's death.
And it was
intentional, reckless, intentional or not. We don't care. Go.
Don't care. He should have been charged. But what happened? People playing politics. You guys, this is the dangers of having these these organizations putting pressure, calling everybody racist, putting pressure on the courts to try to hold, they're trying to hold this public opinion, when the reality is folks just need to do their job properly. Look at the charge, look at the evidence, look at the elements of the crime, and charge people appropriately. Because when you start doing all this extra stuff, and the jury, mind you, the jury looks at it and is like, I don't see it.
Well, yeah, they're going to get the instructions from the judge, and if it's not there, that's how we want the jury to operate. Like, I wasn't upset. Here we go again. Sometimes as African Americans, we fall asleep at the wheel. We get so caught up in the emotional piece of things. And see, here we go again. As an athlete, you're trained to not deal so much in your emotions.
Right.
Because your emotions, usually you make what? Bad decisions. And so with the Zimmerman piece, I'm saying, look at the charges. I'm saying he's not going to be convicted on that. And I wasn't upset when the verdict, they're like, oh, you're not mad. I done told you all from the day that it happened,
right,
that it's not the right charge.
Right.
So
What do you guys think? Listen, you guys, I apologize. I was holding on to the link the whole time to sign up, to join up. Listen, if you want to join up and have a conversation, please, by all means, moderators, drop the link. I would love to hear your voice. If you have some interesting thing to say, do the police deserve rights? Do they deserve any more rights? What are the issues? Do they have too much freedom? Do they have too many rights? Are people trying to protect officers too much? What are your thoughts? So systemic racism, listen, I love it. Cece says, so systemic racism doesn't exist. Education system, housing system, blah, 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 blah. Criminal justice system, okay. Yeah. Listen, these things are, what you guys have to understand too. I'm going to keep scrolling down. I want to point out some things. We're going to stay on topic. But you guys have to understand, a lot of these things are social constructs. We're a victim of our own weakness as a community, you guys. We're playing in somebody else's house, and then you want to complain about the rules. For another stream. Listen, some of y'all kids are living in your mama's house and you're 40, 50 years old and you hate the rules.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Real time is hard to judge. Let me see what else I'm scrolling through. Come on, you guys, join up, cam up. Who wants to have a conversation? I think that's it for the all the different elements, though. What are your we got some things coming up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My boy Dre's up in the building. He's the perfect one to talk to about this too. Perfect one to talk to him. Bringing Dre up. Dre, you ready? All right. Dre, welcome back to the channel. This is my boy, my academy mate. We started from the mud together.
Definitely. Hey, Rima.
How you doing? I'm gonna say one thing to you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Webster Avenue.
Yeah, 164th and Jerome.
There you have it.
Yeah.
So.
But it's always good to speak to another fellow person of belief.
Yes.
Yes. But I don't have a stick.
Well, why am I the only one with something in my mouth right now?
Because I'm sitting in my living room and I don't smoke in my house. I usually smoke outside.
Oh, you need to get you a cave then.
Yeah.
Are you in Atlanta? You in Atlanta?
I am.
Okay, I'm gonna link up with you because I got to get you really abreast about the leaf.
All right. Well, I'm a member at Red Phone Booth, so.
Same here.
I don't do any memberships. You need to be a member at Militime Lounge.
Okay.
That's
me. We're gonna have to look into that. Red Phone Booth, Dre. We need to link up there and hit that one time because Red Phone Booth is where it's at.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a nice.
I haven't been to the one in Buckhead yet, so that's my plan.
That's a nice spot.
I've been to one in Nashville. Nashville is real good. I know the owner over there.
So what you got for us?
Real before you jump in, Dre, I'm gonna get you. So you should have let the car go and lived to see another day.
Damn. Damn. That's a typical cowboy fan.
Yeah,
they would say something destructive.
That do sound like a cowboy.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. They say crazy stuff.
Real reckless. Check the video out. If you haven't seen the video of my accident, just Google my name and put superhero cop lives to see another day. Let me see. Let me get some of these super chats in real quick. Devil's Advocate. Thank you so much for the super chat. What do you say? This seems like an argument between idealism and pragmatism. What she thinks needs to change versus the cold hard experience of a black police officer.
Woo. What she thinks is that am I the she?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Devil's Advocate. Are you gonna webcam or you just gonna
Devil's Advocate, she's calling you out, but he makes a good point though.
Well, again, as a counselor, I pay attention to words and what she think needs to change. And I'm saying, says who? There's not enough here for him to make that statement. So I would like for face-to-face to dive into this. And it's not an argument. It's a healthy debate. Like I'm very technical.
Yeah. So. I think too, and again, thank you so much, Devil's Advocate. I appreciate that. I think too, what he's saying is, sometimes people hear the pushback. I tell everybody I'm here to provide insight because a lot of people just don't know. And some people are very confident with the way they feel about a particular topic because they don't know. You don't know. But you don't know, you don't know. And my job is to come in here and give insight because our profession has been kept secret for so long, right? It's been kept secret for so long. So I don't take offense when people call me out on something, they call me out or they speak ill about the police. They don't get it, and I understand because I've worked behind the scenes.
Oh, is that where that was coming from?
What's that?
Is that where the comment was coming from?
His comment was coming from a lot of different places. He was touching on the fact that you have someone who has experience. And he's saying, listen, well, listen, I'm not going to speak for him.
Well, here's the other thing.
What's that?
Devil's Advocate. Devil's Advocate, he doesn't get to discredit my experience.
True.
Because where I'm coming from with my experience, because how you all are trained to de-escalate isn't how I was trained. But if we can have the dialogue, and you can pick up some pointers from me, and I can pick up some pointers for you, then you should be a better de-escalator at the end of the day. It's not about changing, my perspective on something as much as it's about understanding my education, my knowledge. where I'm coming from with mine. I'm coming from a total different discipline, but I interact, with law enforcement at every level, all the way through to the sentencing. Even then, I got to go into the prison after they sentence,
Mm.
from A to Z, from arrest all the way through. And so I don't think that what I'm saying is totally discredited. I'm just coming from a different discipline. And that's
Yeah.
what I don't like about some police officers. It's about their discipline, and that's all they see. I'm coming just from a different discipline.
That's
You
true.
know, I agree because since you're coming in on a different aspect, I've worked federal, I worked state, and now I'm in, prosecution. And I'm gonna tell you, you are 100% right. A lot of folks want to put law enforcement in a box.
Mhm.
And just like black people are not a monolith, law enforcement officers aren't a monolith, and we all experience different things. Like Nate and I, when we got out the academy, we went to predominantly black neighborhoods that had a high crime rate and a high call volume. But we had some, members in the academy that went to predominantly white neighborhoods with low
Yes.
call volumes,
Okay.
who
Yep.
didn't know how to do the basic
Yep.
things, and they didn't know how to package dope. They didn't know how to,
Put the handcuffs on.
there you go.
There
All
you
they
go.
did was primarily did action reports all day.
Yep. Right.
That was it.
Yeah.
So their experience was way different
Mm-hmm.
from our experience.
Right.
I was on FTO, which is field training, and responded to a rape in progress. You hear about it, you're knocking on the door, and all you hear is screaming. And and you hear thrusting, and you kick in the door and see it in progress. The anger and the emotion that goes through you, one, you still got to do a job. You can't let your emotions get the best of you, because then you're no different from them. Because that's the difference between law enforcement.
I said that earlier. You got to
Yep.
check the emotions.
Yep.
Right. Because the difference between us and civilians is the decisions we make. That's it. That's the main thing. We are no different from anybody else, but we're held to a higher standard. And as angry as I was to see a black woman being violated, I still had to maintain my composure and do my job.
Right. Yes.
What is trash can?
Trash, he talking about you. You keep coming with this balls deep analogies out here in the conversation. Real quick, Dre.
Right.
I want to what you said was absolutely correct. There's a couple
Yes, it
things.
was.
Couple things I want to pick up on real quick. I want to get this super chat in. Comment section is long, boy. I'm gonna scroll faster. Y'all in here getting it in. A lot of people are saying a lot of things. Listen, if you guys want to cam up, please, by all means. Someone mentioned too so listen, I love to have Dre up here because Dre is another officer. He's another black officer, right? So this is good because you don't have to hear it just from me, you guys. You get to hear a different perspective. He's different. We're not the same people. But it'll be hard to tell when you hear a lot of his responses. Dre, let me get your take on this. I don't know when you got a chance to jump in and hear the content, but we're talking about the two House bills that were released not too long ago on the governor's side. Did the hate crime bill because of the Ahmaud Arbery situation, and then shortly after, simultaneously, he came out with the Police Bill of Rights. Are you familiar? Have you had a chance to hear that? You want me to read it out to you?
I read a little bit about the Police Bill of Rights and the hate crime bill.
All right.
What I had an issue with in reference to the police bill is it's so subjective that it, if you have a police officer, you and I knew officers that were so hard up for an arrest that they would go ahead and, if someone stomped out, crack on the ground, they go ahead and try to scrape it off the ground.
True. Listen, I can't even. I've been petty once or twice. So
Oh my God.
Listen, you guys knew I had. I'm not gonna say I had a petty.
Just leave it there.
Yeah.
But
I got some tape.
if you, what it does is it leaves the citizens vulnerable to being baited by officers that know that it's based on their interpretation of an actual encounter. And if you're not complying because you're well within your rights, within the laws, then it could be flipped on you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you already know, all we were told about is how you articulate your encounter.
True.
If you can articulate it, then you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. So I don't believe that aspect of it is actually fair to the citizens. You know what I'm saying? Because it's extremely subjective. And if you have a track record of actually making legitimate cases, but yet you have one citizen that pretty much one ups you and you feel and you and your feelings, you can actually take away their feeling and mess up their livelihood. And it's so
Okay.
Exactly.
subjective. And there's no ramifications if found out that you listen, I read police reports every day. And I look at body cam encounters every day. And I can tell when an officer was in their feelings. And
Yes.
I'm like,
Thank
really?
you.
Really?
Thank you.
Yes.
Was that really necessary?
It don't add up, right, Dre?
It don't. It don't.
Yeah.
It don't
Two
add up.
plus two is 5. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
have the ability to actually call them and question them on it because trust me, there are a lot of cases that come across my desk, and I sit down and look at even some of the officers that I've trained because I'm an instructor,
Hmm.
and I look at it and I'm like, "Are you kidding me, bro? What were you thinking?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's everything is laid out for you. What are you doing? You can't be
Yeah.
lazy. This is not the job to be lazy and be complacent in. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted,
What to your point, if I may, Trey,
but
to your point, um, officers used to get upset with me because, again, I'm coming from a different discipline. My role as a counselor is to also advocate, right?
correct.
And so, if I read an SIR, I can tell that this is a bunch of malarkey. And so, we're going to deal with the fact because, again, if it's in writing, it follows a person. And your integrity has to be that we're not going to let the wrong stuff follow someone because they always have to deal with whatever you write about them. And so I would say to the officers, you have this training. Use, at least use the words according to your training.
Right.
You know, they're there for a reason. And that's what I used to do trainings with the officers to teach, hey, this is how you want to write this up. You know, it's not that they're lying as much as if you're not using the techniques based on when you were trained and it's not articulated, then it becomes a problem down the line, potentially for the whole agency.
True.
And you get a lot of pushback from some of the officers, but you're really just trying to help. Hey, I'm trying to help you protect yourself because in our line of work, you definitely can be sued, by the parents. So get it
But
together,
you know, that was generally the thought when they introduced the body cam. A lot of
Right.
officers didn't want the body cam, and I'm like, yo, that protects you. Now,
Yeah.
granted, at the time where the Cobb County Police Department was issuing out their body cams, I was a detective, so I wasn't responding to calls other than after the scene was clear. But the thing is, it's like it protects you. But what I've seen is that your opinion now, your opinions are being vocalized on your body cam, and then you're saying things that now you're no longer a witness for the state. You're a witness for the defense because of what your personal feelings are being said on your body
Right,
cam.
right,
You know,
This
right.
is the this is the that is actually a big problem. How officers frame the statements. Let me get this. Thank you so much, Friendsgiving, for this generous super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just all love and all support. I really appreciate that. We have another super chat in here from the wonderful Monica May. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's $25 super chat. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. This conversation is needed. There's so much to talk about when it comes to this topic. At the end of the day, what ends up happening if you're not careful? Again, what did people are saying? Hey, this is people's First Amendment right can be violated easily. And what did
Easily.
Dre say? I think Dre, you brought up a good point. You get to see as an investigator, you get to see the body cams, you get to compare it to police reports, and you look at him like, this seems. You could tell when an officer is policing through his ego, her ego, when they're offended. You could tell. It's very easy to see. This is the problem that people are having with law enforcement. It's easy. So now you have this police bill of rights. If in the hands of the wrong officer, easily abused, and I think that's really what it all comes down to. Like any law that we already have, this law is no different. This law is not special. It's a regular law to help officers. I see the benefits of it, and I also see where officers can abuse it because I know how officers are. And so I think that's where we have to kind of address that issue. Let me bring up what's the name dropped off 444. Hey man, you come back up, man. I'm gonna pull you up if you jump back on. You guys, if anybody wants to cam up, please do. Probably gonna run this for another 30 minutes before we call it a night. Let me see, Dre. What do you think on? Let me see. What was it? This is my favorite part, and me and Rima were kind of going back and forth about this, about people filing complaints. It says filing a complaint against the officer which the person knew was false when it was filed. You know, they could be charged for that, for filing a complaint against an officer. What are your thoughts on that? And Rima, if you want to express your view. If Dre, did you hear her view on that?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I listened to that whole thing. Here's the thing. You have to be able to prove that they knew that the complaint was false when they made it. Okay. Right. Because it leaves it up to interpretation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you are found that you have lied, and there's proof and you have evidence that you lied through conversations and text messages that you have straight up lied on this officer, you should be prosecuted. Now, you're talking to somebody that's been to IA in his career 6 times for something somebody else did.
I mean, oh, damn,
never me.
More for me.
Yeah, no. But for somebody else, that me have to sit down there and write a statement based on the actions of someone else.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
we've all been there. Yep.
Right. So you think about it. It is not, if you're going to lie on me, you should be arrested. The problem is we don't prosecute because we still want them to continue to be citizens to report incidents, you know, and you don't want to discourage anybody from reporting police misconduct based on, you know what I'm saying, their actions. So if you lie, now you're coming back telling your neighborhood, well, police ain't going to do anything, but you lied. But now when you actually have a legitimate gripe against an officer who mistreated you, who has been disrespectful, you feel that you're not going to be taken seriously because you've already been prosecuted for falsely reporting. It's like the kid that cried wolf. Be honest. You know what I'm saying? Right. Go ahead, Rima.
You know, as I said, my issue was that how we're discussing it is certainly not how it's written. And that in lies the issue and the problem. Because like I said, it's too subjective. You usually want to go from objective to subjective, right?
But hold on, Rima. Here's the issue. That law was purposely written to be ambiguous.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Right. Now, granted,
look. Let me tell you. What I can appreciate about Nathan Hot Dogs is that he was like, okay, yeah, we do need to discuss this. I was like, did you know about this police piece? He's like, no. And what I'm saying to you is, that's what I told him. We have to talk about it. I knew what it was from the moment it jumped off. I'm like, here we go. I'm gonna give you this, but I'm gonna take this. That's just the nature of, the politics. It was designed to be that way because it will cover all bases. You can't write it any stricter because then it will defeat the purpose.
See, guys, here's the thing, and this is what you have to understand. I'm looking at this message too.
Yeah.
It was the reason why it was written the way it was is so the governor itself can have plausible deniability, and you're not putting everybody in a box. It was purposely ambiguous so it can cover any loopholes that are not, if they was
like I said, it covers everything.
It covers everything. You're right. It covers a wide base. It covers everything. But the problem I have overall is that it feeds into the police god complex that, I can do everything. You know what I'm saying? When you get your badge is about this big, right? But you got a lot of officers that badge is like this big. You know what I'm saying? You can't even see them. The badges. You know what I'm saying? So, and what folks don't understand is behind the scenes, we check these officers. We talk to them. Like, yo, why? What was the purpose? What was it necessary? But the public wants to do this in public, and we can't because it undermines our authority and your faith in us. But know that when we have an officer that's a POS, we talk to them, and if it doesn't work, then we report them. And there's a process with it. You had to do written statements. It goes to your immediate supervisor. If the immediate supervisor sees credence in your complaint, then it goes to IA. Then IA investigates it, and then they start bringing everybody involved and do individual investigations in it, right? If it's something that can be mediated by the line supervisors, it'll be sent back down for the lieutenant to sit down and have a meeting to clear it up. But if you have a history of misconduct on the road or as a detective, whatever it is, then that comes up, because IA doesn't fire you, but they make recommendations based on it.
Right, they can't. It's all about, hey, play at your own risk. This
Correct.
is just what we think. Would you put that comment back up by common? I wanted to address that.
Okay. What was it?
If I may.
Yeah.
He was saying about a situation with a young lady lied on
Oh,
officer.
yeah, yes. I remember that case, actually. I wanted to talk about
I just want to give the woman's perspective.
Oh, okay.
Dre, did you know? Did you know that this was a special occasion for Nathan and I?
What other than this was your inaugural? Yes, this is your first.
Yeah. I'm taking his virginity.
My
Yeah, I'm his first, YouTube guest. So
she's
I'm the first.
My first official guest. So she's over here. Right. You see how she doing? Look at her. No respect. This
I told you I'm not anti-police.
No, she's not. But but your statements and concerns are very legitimate. Now listen, Common Man brings up a good point. He talks about that case in Texas. Dre, you remember that situation where it was all over the news with the woman? At least she was in a blue dress. She was DUI, right? Is that the case? If I'm not mistaken. Remember the one where he pulled over a woman? She was DUI. He took her all through the process. He had his body camera on for like 3 hours. Took her from start to finish, and then took her to jail. She went to the jail. She did the breathalyzer. She blew over, and then he locked her up. Well, then a couple days later, she got out of jail, and she said, "Hey, the officer sexually assaulted me," and it turned out to be a really big thing. And then they're like, "Hold on, we got body camera," and they watched all 3 hours of that, and they found that it was some BS. And so what is Common Man 80 saying? He's saying, but the woman didn't know she was being recorded all the time. The officer didn't even file a complaint. I don't think the officer didn't file a complaint. I think the department failed to file charges against her. I had someone file a complaint against me on a domestic, and it turned out to be some BS, and they didn't want to prosecute the guy for it. He accused me of messing with his girlfriend, like messing with her. And IA called me in the office. Listen, y'all don't play around on the job in the uniform. I've watched so many officers get hung up for that. You have to call me off duty, you guys. You gotta call me after hours.
Because that on duty booty will get you.
That on duty booty gets you, boy. Right. So what happened? IA called me up and said, "Hey, we have a complaint from this gentleman," and said, "Because what happened? I took him to jail. He was beating his girlfriend at the daycare, beat her up in front of everybody. He didn't like the fact that I inserted authority over him and took him to jail. He took offense to it. His girlfriend was attractive. So, some issues happened. I ended up having to call her to update the police report. She called the office. The office called me and said, "Hey, you need to update this report. She's adding some additional stuff." I said, "Cool. Let me get her number. I'll call her right now." Called her and blocked the number on my cell phone. Had a whole conversation, did what I had to do. That was the end of it. I guess somewhere down the line, he found out that I was having a conversation with her, and he went to the headquarters and filed a complaint and made up all kinds of stuff. I was showing up at the house, right, providing after-hour services to her. Internal Affairs called me in the office and accused me as if I did the crime. And I said, "Hey, did you guys even talk to her?" They're like, "Nah, we didn't talk to her yet. We wanted to give you a chance to come clean and be honest." I said, "What?" And that's how IA operates. You're guilty to them. Internal Affairs treats you like a guilty criminal. You have to prove your own innocence to them. And then come to find out, she cleared up the whole misunderstanding. I said, "Hey, listen, this guy almost got me in trouble. He could have got me fired." So you're going to prosecute him for making this false statement. He wrote this whole statement out on all the little things that I did to her. Are you gonna file charges? They said, "No, we don't want to discourage the public from coming up and being telling us." So what did I do? I went to go talk to the judge. Filed my own charges against him.
Bingo. Now that's what I wanted to say. I don't know this guy, but and Dre, you know, DeKalb County officer. But anyway,
Right. We don't actually
um,
speak on that. That's
but something as serious as sexual assault.
mm,
The reason why he didn't go and file his own complaint, in my opinion, in my belief, is because when you open Pandora's box, like once you put yourself out there to be exposed, because it may not have been about this young lady, but it might have been about another young lady. Because if somebody cuts into your integrity to that degree, oh, you're going to demand that something happens about that. Unless,
You've done it in the past, and you don't want them to investigate
uh,
and come back up.
right, because
mm,
we're talking about sexual assault. Like, we're not talking about she, you know, accused you of breaking one of her fingernails when you was arrested. Or we're talking about sexual assault.
See, here's the thing, and you know, folks used to laugh at me, but when I was in uniform and I used to work part times and I used to get approached, I used to be offended because my question is, if I wasn't in this uniform, would you still come talk to me? So
mm.
why wait till I'm in uniform to try to holler? No,
This looks
because
suspicious.
now it looks very suspect, and
Yep.
now to me,
What?
well, hold on, well, for me, because when I got to academy, like our academy instructor beat in our heads,
Yep.
don't be that guy,
Yep.
don't do it. You know what I'm saying? So I took that to heart. Like, listen, I'm here to do a job. Okay, I'm not here to get your number. I'm here to do a job. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? And yes, I appreciate the intention, but because you know, and now you know, there's a term of women that chase police officers, you know, badge bunnies.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to get caught up because I was very skeptical of everybody I encountered because of that.
Dre,
You know,
are you sipping on something right now? May I ask?
no, I am not. I actually got some sweet tea. That's what
Okay,
I'm
well,
saying.
would you take a sip of your tea?
she been,
See,
No,
because
but keep it so see,
I'm just giving you the other perspective
right.
because
But with
you're not the woman. You're not the woman. Eh,
but I'm the officer and I'm looking at my career. And
well,
that's the thing. I
I
understand what
get
you're
it.
saying, but I'm
You don't
sorry.
understand what I'm saying because I haven't said it. That's
Okay.
not true. Tell me. Okay, you say you understand what I'm saying. What have I said?
you
My
muted.
sound.
On a female perspective, for a brother, I mean, I don't
I'm
have
saying,
any.
what did I say?
I'm gonna let you speak. My bad for intervening. I'm gonna let you speak. I'm gonna sip
Okay,
on my
thank
sweet
you.
tea.
Okay.
He saw you.
A lot of times, men ultimately sometimes sell themselves short. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a woman, and I am, and I walk in, officers there, I know more about me than you do. I might like handcuffs. So only thing, you know, what you do is gather information. You're not the only one in the scene that can gather information.
Right.
So I just want to say, you know, handcuffs, you know, because still it's a dangerous game. Some men aren't comfortable with crazy stuff and handcuffs and bondage, right? But she might have just been trying to scan you to see if you were down with the handcuff game outside. She was just scanning. She
But
was
here's the
just
thing.
trying to figure it out,
But
right? Just
here's the thing, Rima.
I'm just saying she might have just been
no,
trying to figure it out.
here's the thing. I understand exactly what you're saying in reference to that. But here's how you approach an officer to get the information. Hey, I don't want to disrespect you because you're on duty. Is it possible for me to call you when you're off duty? And we can engage in this conversation.
I'm not gonna say it like that, but
No,
okay.
because here's the thing. Well, you don't have to say it like that, but you could do it along those lines because at the end of the day, it's a bad look. And it's, you
Right.
know, and the thing is, I'm very professional when I do my job. You know what
I
I'm
get
saying?
it. And
And
I appreciate that.
it's very now granted, the attention is appreciated, but at the end of the day, you still have to respect the position that I'm in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's no disrespect to whoever it is that approaches the officer to explain, you know, to express their attraction. But at the end of the day, one, it takes our focus on actually what we're actually there to do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, the difference is you're not thirsty either. Like, you know,
True.
so
True.
That's
that
true. That's
yeah.
true. Real quick, I'm going to Comment says sexual assault is almost impossible to disprove. I disagree with that.
I disagree on that.
Yeah, I disagree with that. You know,
What?
I'm gonna pull up. I have a guest in the back. I'm gonna pull up real quick. You guys, listen, you guys, if you want to jump up, Mr. 44, I saw you earlier. I was gonna pull you up because I know I didn't want to kind of break the conversation. But I want to pull up our guest, Vanessa, get her take on it. You know, we guys will probably run for another 15 minutes and we'll shut it down. We're hitting that 3-hour mark. If you have any thoughts, though, please, by all means.
Have you subscribed, Dre, to my channel?
No, but I'm about to because I actually looked at your page. I actually have it up, so I'm about to subscribe.
All right.
I mean, I ain't put it against you that you're a Redskins fan, but it's all right.
I can say whatever I want to say. You're not in uniform.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm not in uniform anymore. I'm
Right,
a
exactly.
black guy.
I can say whatever.
Listen, I'm bringing up Vanessa. Vanessa, you ready? How you doing, Vanessa?
Hey,
Can
Vanessa.
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. What are your
Hey,
thoughts?
Rima. Hey,
Hello.
hey, sir. I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry.
I got stuff.
I'm Dre.
Right.
Dre Blanco.
Dre. Okay, nice to meet you, Dre.
What are your thoughts? I know we talked about a lot of stuff.
Well, we talked about a lot of stuff. I was over here screaming, bro.
Oh,
I
yeah?
seen it. I seen you. I seen. That's what's like. We got to get Vanessa there. She said she's screaming.
Yeah.
I was over here going off. Even my daughter like had to take a look back at me like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Nah, not really."
Jump on. Where do you want to? I know there's a lot encompassing this from not only from a political standpoint, but also from a racial, ethnic standpoint, from a Black power standpoint. I mean, there's so many different ways to tackle this. What are your thoughts on the? Let me get your thoughts on the actual law itself first, and then branch into your thoughts, and then I'll have everybody else chime in as well.
Okay, on the law itself first.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you would like for me to start. Me myself, I have and like I messaged you. I love you so much. I love you and I respect you so much.
Thank
as
you.
a gentleman, as a man. You know it. We've
Right.
known each other since we were like 8.
On the sandbox
I don't
days.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it's
But you don't. But how do you
it's-
feel about the police? Before you get into that, how do you feel?
okay,
about the
how do
police?
I feel about the police? Okay. Well,
Briefly,
as we were talking earlier, I told
Mhm.
you that it was something that I want to become a police officer, but I feel like they have such a stance point for themselves. Like, I'm tatted up, and when I went and looked to see what the requirements were to be a police officer, it was like, oh, if you have a tattoo that shows below your elbow, you can't. And it's like, really, and I really feel like those are. I'm the kind of people that need to be the police right now.
Right.
I can resonate with our younger generation. I can understand them. My favorite word is fuck. It's terrible, but it is what it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I love the word.
Yeah. Thank you.
Y'all
It
love
means
the word. We
everything.
love the
It's like-
action. Y'all playing. Y'all love to talk. That's the problem. Dre.
yeah,
Go
no,
ahead,
but it means
Vanessa.
everything. The F word stands in so many different circumstances and situations. It can be used anywhere. And that's what this generation that is up and coming needs. They need to have those adults in their life that don't judge them or make them feel like there's something wrong with them and their thoughts and feelings. Because just like you were saying earlier, you were talking about, LGBTQ, transgender, and all that stuff. This generation that's up and coming is so much more open to all of that. They're more comfortable with being who they are, pansexual, transgender, whatever the fuck they feel like they are.
Vegan.
They're cool. So that I feel like I'm what they need, but I am judged because I've had a domestic situation myself.
Vanessa, did you lay hands on somebody?
Oh, I had to fuck my husband up.
Oh my God. I don't know. Vanessa, I was trying to hang in here with you, support
I'm
woman
just
to
saying,
woman.
no, but listen, but it had to happen. Like he tried my whole gangster, and I had to
Oh my
just
God.
remind him that he's fucking with a thug. That's it. But that was like
Yes.
10 years ago.
But
It's a long time
even the
ago.
tattoos that did you wrong, it was that domestic that messed you up because
Oh no, I
Yeah,
have
because
like
you know
hold on.
wear long sleeves.
Domestic is kryptonite to law enforcement officers because if you are convicted of a domestic, you lose everything. You no longer have the ability.
okay, but that was like 14 years ago.
It doesn't matter
It doesn't matter.
because
Yeah.
it's actual federal law, not state law. Because
Yeah.
what happens is if you're convicted of a domestic and say you was in law enforcement or you had the ability or you're prior military and you had the ability
I didn't get convicted of a domestic though.
Okay. Well, even still, like even if you had a domestic case, what they do, they take everything from you and you have to pretty much sit on administrative leave till your case get rectified.
Right. But but that's the thing, and I'm gonna take it to a different direction real quick. That's the thing with when it comes to police officers, and I feel like they really get away with a lot more. You guys get a pass. You can do a lot of fucked up shit and you get off. And nobody bats an eye because you're the police.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because I have friends that have gone to prison, saying for the stuff they've done. Now, granted, it's different. We're in Georgia. There's no union here in Georgia. So,
well, when you say friends, are they police officer friends
Yes.
or are they just regular friends?
No, police officer friends. Well, since we're talking in the context of police officers, this is where I'm keeping it. I have police officers friends that have gone.
Okay, I was just asking. I'm sorry. Men
and women that I have worked next to, that had my back, that I considered friends. You know what I'm saying? So I don't agree. Now, what you have to understand is that each police department is not the same.
Absolutely.
If you work for a police department with a union and it's powerful, 9 times out of 10 you're probably gonna get off. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a union. You have union representation.
True indeed.
Because I'll give you an example. Here's the difference. Okay. In Georgia, you have the ability, if there's a dispute or there's an issue with your supervisor, you have the ability to have another supervisor in there and somebody else in their room to discuss the issue you have with this person. If you work for the police department, which is a union, you have to have your union rep present when you talk to any supervisor about anything.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So there's differences. Whereas the unions want to stick together.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but I did want to talk to Rima about something that was really important to me.
Go ahead.
Wait, 1 second, Vanessa, before you do that.
Okay.
Let me we got a super chat in, and this is directly for Rima. So Rima, much respect, but what's up with the tiger paws in the back? Roll Tide.
Yes.
Tiger paws?
Here's my response. We rolled the tide twice. We was just sitting on the dock of the bay watching the tide roll away. 2016. Let's not forget 2018. You only lost 44-16. That's number one. And then number two, I'm a graduate. I'm fourth all time in 3-pointers. I'm not a fan. You are a fan. But I want you to subscribe because I'm also about Washington, and you already know what I think about the Cowgirls. So subscribe to my page so I can really get into your ass.
Well, I'm most definitely going to subscribe to your page myself.
Thank you. And how can I help you, Vanessa? What did you want to ask me?
So I wanted to commend you on having the
Fighting with Nathan
mental health perspective.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because I was just talking to Nathan about this earlier, and I said that I feel like a lot of the part where police drop the ball is that they're not, equipped to deal with mental health issues. So I really respect that of you, because you are definitely needed. You're very important, because I mean, shit, show me a person who doesn't have a mental health issue.
See,
Show me one.
Vanessa, let me hit you with this, and also I
He's
applaud.
got mental health issues. See,
I mean,
Well, actually, I have a company that deals with traumas in law enforcement, so we do counseling for law
Right.
enforcement.
I know, but I thought you directed it towards me. Could I just
I was
respond
talking
first?
to you,
Yeah,
but he
I was saying
feels
I
like he has
commend
something to
what
say.
you're doing, Rima, because I kind of I have a company that does the same thing.
Dre, we're gonna have to talk after the show, but go ahead.
All right. We don't have to. But Vanessa, what you have to understand is we see a lot. We are exposed to a lot. And if I was told, and the thing is, we're never told that you're not going to be the same person coming out as you are coming in.
Oh, of course not. I couldn't even imagine for a second walking into a circumstance that you see. I totally respect you. Absolutely. Because if I would have walked in and seen somebody who passed away, or like a homicide situation involving children, I don't think I could handle that. So I get it. I totally do. But me and myself, I don't have any background legally as far as a police officer, but I am a mechanic, I'm a massage therapist, I'm a veterinary technician, I'm a pastry chef. So I have a lot behind me too that you wouldn't understand, and I'm not trying to take it away from you at all. I don't get me wrong. I could never understand what you walk into every day. I couldn't. And I commend y'all for sure. But back to Rima.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
what I want,
absolutely.
Girl power, obviously. Girl
what
power.
I wanted,
took the channel over.
What I wanted to say is, first I want to address the pastry. You say you do pastries?
Yes. Yeah, I make wedding cakes, birthday cakes.
I was just gonna say, don't try to come at me about my peach cobbler, because nobody can. I just wanted to put that out there. About my peach cobbler, homemade.
No, ma'am. I don't want no trouble.
Okay, you almost okay. All right, okay, fair enough.
Hey, we're gonna have to have a bake. We're gonna have to have a bake off the way y'all.
I don't want no trouble.
I'll be okay, sister.
Hey, I'm there. I'm here for the peach cobbler. Listen, what is real quick? What is?
Yeah, I know you are. That's how we met.
You so crazy. Common Man 80 says mental health professionals aren't equipped to deal with real criminals.
I'm gonna. May I address that?
Yeah, that's not true.
I think that Common Man 80 is certainly entitled to his opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, because, but that's not true.
What I know, see, because again, there's one thing to be in one side of the profession as a police officer, and Dre, to your point, it's a whole nother thing to be in both professions as the mental health professional, right? So, and I think Vanessa, I'm sorry. I have a pet peeve. Okay,
I'm sorry.
99% of the time, when you say a real criminal, I guarantee you we're getting into one or two things: psychopath or sociopath. And yes, we are equipped to deal with those. That would just be my response, to that. But I think, Vanessa, if you're passionate about, giving back, once you connect with me through my channel, I sit on the board of foundation. There's a multiplex of ways that you can still satisfy what you want to do as far as being there for some of these young folks. And so I'd be happy to help you get connected with some of the foundation stuff.
I would love that. I would love
because,
that.
and I'll help in any way, that I can. All right.
Because I am a widow with 6 children, and they're my whole rock life and world, and I want to support the people that hang around them.
Well, you're strong. You got a lot to offer. You're strong. You got a lot to offer. Share
Thank
that
you.
wisdom. Share that wisdom.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you, Dre. Real quick, what are your thoughts? Well, Vanessa, let me ask you real quick. Do you think that mental health professionals are equipped to deal with real criminals?
Okay, that's what I was gonna say a minute ago. Okay, so health professionals and dealing with criminals, and I'm using air quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when it comes to health professionals, they dig deeper into, if they have like a health concern, if it's something mentally that's going on. And that's what I was telling you earlier,
Mm-hmm.
that I really feel like when calls go out for the police, that there should be a social worker or someone of health concern, because I feel like police officers, y'all go in with your hand on your gun, and you feel like more like you have to like protect yourself, or like it's a crime, and sometimes it's just somebody just going through something that you don't understand. There's people who are schizophrenic, bipolar, and you're not trained to deal with that.
I agree with you, Vanessa. Hold on, Dan.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. All right, I agree with you 100%. But here's the thing: like certain departments have what's called a mobile crisis unit, and for the past 6-7 years, it's been a requirement for the police departments to send all their police officers to a class, which is a 40-hour class called Crisis Intervention Training, CIT training.
It was a tough
But do you
class.
think 40 hours is enough for you to know?
Yes, because I'm gonna tell you why. That class is very, very it's a tough class and
Mhm.
very interactive. And one thing that we learned is that a lot of times that you respond to a call is going to be one of your own that is in trauma.
I'm so happy you just used that exact phrase, one of your own.
Right.
And I think that just gets lost in translation, where police officers go in and they just think like, oh, it's a criminal, it's a bad guy, and it's not. It's one of your own.
When we respond to a call, we don't know that there's any criminals on the scene until we actually can prove a crime was committed.
You know what? I just moved from Minnesota. I've been in Minnesota for 14 years. I just moved back home here to Georgia, and I chose to move back down here because, number one, it was too cold and it was too Caucasian. They didn't understand us. They didn't understand my children. We were one of the few chocolate chips out of the cookie, and we were looked at like something that we weren't. So I had to, thank you. Yep, I said it. We were looked at like something that we weren't, and we were looked at as criminals, or anything that happened, we were automatically blamed for it. And
this primarily has to do that we don't own our own image. I've mentioned that before. If we owned our own image, and we don't pretty much sell ourselves for a buck, you wouldn't have to be subjected to that. But back to the thing in reference to the mental, responding to mental illness calls. A lot of times when police officers, for the Cap County Police Department, they have what's called 1030, which you have a licensed professional that respond to calls with the officer. Okay. And only if a crime has been committed, then there'll be 1013, which is a lay affidavit is signed, and they're transported to either a mental facility, whether at Grady Hospital or at now Emory Decatur Hospital. So, but I agree, no matter what, when you call the police in reference to a family member that's either schizophrenic, bipolar, multiple personality disorder, what is your outcome? What do you want the police to do? Okay, and these are the things that need to be addressed when you call 911. What is your resolution? Because this is your family member. Once you call the police, you are bringing a gun to an incident.
Right.
You know, what is your expectations? Because when the police come, you can't tell them how to sit down there and address your family member when you couldn't do it. So the question is either contact their doctor, let them know, hey, so-and-so is in trauma. He's having an episode. He hasn't taken his medication. First of all, you need to be calling 911. That's first. Call 911 and have EMS arrive. Okay. The police are only going to be there to protect EMS. But if they have a weapon, whether it's a screwdriver, a hammer, or anything, they are a threat. I have fought folks that have been going through trauma. I work out. I think I'm pretty darn strong. I'm a martial artist. But that extra strength, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna give his first name. There is a homeless dude that panhandles on the side of the highway of I-20 named Lawrence. No police officer would deal with him. They will buy him food just to keep him happy. If he is panhandling outside at one of the stores, we'll buy him food to get him away. Because Lawrence will do push-ups. It'll be a Georgia summer, 98 degrees. He'll have on a fur coat and do push-ups on a hot asphalt. So nobody wants to mess with Lawrence because Lawrence probably got 2% body fat. So
and supernatural strength.
Right. And call me petty, call me whatever. But when we used to have rookies come out, and they respond to calls dealing with Lawrence, I will wait and hear and see how they reacted because I knew if they got into a fight with it was going to be a good one. You know? But you quickly learn I'm not messing with him.
Right.
So you have to understand, I have seen officers knocked out by folks having mental trauma. And it's not a pretty sight.
Nope.
And sorry, self-preservation kicks in. It's like, it's not going to be me. You're not going to knock me out. So you're put in a situation where you have to protect yourself.
Let me go ahead, Rima. Rima, before you jump in, let me just shout out the super chat. Shout out to Uncle Stu, the old man from the block. Phenomenal content creator, you guys. Thank you so
Uncle
much.
Stu, shout out to you. Subscribe, Sports A-Delic.
Yeah, Uncle Stu. If moderators, please, again, if you guys are new into the channel, please drop Sports A-Delic's link. For those who are not following her, please check her out. As you guys see, she's full of wisdom, full of humor. And if you come in with that sports talk, you need to come with that correct sports talk. Because she'll
facts and stats.
Yeah. You work out.
And if you're in law enforcement and you're suffering from trauma, check out the Blue Transformation.com. The BlueTransformation.com.
Thank you.
I'm going to the gym tomorrow. What's up?
What I wanted to say.
Vanessa, I'm gonna drop you down, but that's gonna pull someone else up. All right.
I actually don't agree with
what?
I don't agree with mental health professional going out to the scene. I told you all from the beginning, I am pro police. It can't be anything that's above security in a scene. It can't be. Safety has to be the priority. And independent of behavior, actions, triggers, or whatever, at the end of the day, security trumps everything else. And just like with new laws, new bills, and everything, COVID-19, or Omicron, there's X amount of casualties that just happen. I mean, it is. It's just like things. Right. We can't save every mental health person at a scene from getting tased, possibly shot. That's just not the reality of the business. I think that it's a case-by-case thing. I think that when an officer gets to the scene and they are clearly in some kind of mental health episode, at that point, he needs to disengage and call EMS or what have you. Because now we probably need Haldol. They probably need a shot, and they need to be put down with a shot of Haldol and get back stable. But if they come at you with supernatural strength, you have to do what you have to do. That's just reality.
I
See,
would
but
say
the health professional doesn't get out the car till the scene is clear.
exactly. And I think that's the part people need to understand when it comes to mental health workers. Listen, police want to give the job away. We don't want to do the job. We don't want to do that part. There's a lot of things police officers will give away so that you guys, hey, listen, bring your counselors, bring all your social workers, bring your mental health professionals. Come and do this job. Take some of this weight off of law enforcement. We're doing too many people's jobs. We have no business doing it. So we don't mind it. We're saying we can't keep you safe. The problem is when you call these people, I've called DFACs, I've called mental health workers, I've called them all. I've worked with 1013s. Dre, you can also express this. Listen, we call these people. Listen, what's the problem with these families? They don't want to deal with these family members. You guys, they put them out in the street and the police have to deal with them. This is what happens. They can't control them, but they collect the check.
Right. Right. There's a whole nother that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother
Right.
it's so deep because there aren't any real answers, because the caveat is the scene has to be safe. And we talked about that earlier. Any scene has to be safe. And then you can't go into the scene if somebody's acting out
Correct.
with a mental health psychotic break from reality, you know. So I don't know.
Uncle Stu.
Let me bring Uncle Stu up real quick.
Ready.
How is everyone on the panel and chat?
We're great with a capital G.
Uncle
Excellent,
Stu.
excellent. I probably missed a lot of the conversation, so forgive me if whatever I say has already been repeated. I think what's missing in the discourse, and this is where I'm going to bring in a little bit of history. A lot of people who are not old enough do not remember the Ronald Reagan administration when he wiped out mental health on a national scale.
Mental health, CEDAR programs for the kids, everything.
And when that,
because I'm just as old as you are, okay?
Me too.
And when that happened, it caused also the vacuum within a lot, especially the urban cities, to literally implode, because you had kids who could no longer go to just, regular camps. You had many summer programs imploded, and you had a lot of people who had mental health issues being thrown out of these mental health facilities.
Like 3 potatoes.
So you had a lot of people who had issues dealing with mental health that was now put out on the street, and we end up putting a lot of people with mental health issues on the street in prison, and a lot of our prison is really populated with people that need to be in mental institutions, not in the institutions of prison. I think another factor that needs to be understood when people come up with these philosophical ideas and these philosophical theories that they have never seen into practice, I say to people, do you want to know what it feels like not to have police in your neighborhood? Go to the neighborhood where they can't even report the crime because of the backlash they may receive. That's what it's like not to have police in your neighborhood. Go to the neighborhoods when a crime is committed and the detectives show up at the door, and you have a person could have seen your mama hurt, brutalized, scandalized, and no one is going to report it. It's called anarchy. And we have to recognize what anarchy really is. And we're seeing microscopic versions of anarchy taking place. And I think we're not going to the heart of the matter. The other heart of the matter, Nathan Daniel, I am the son of a police officer. I think the biggest issue police officers need is what I call vacation and self-health ways of dealing with their own mental health issues. I don't think everybody understands, me being prior military. When you're seeing tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, you become toxic even within your own mental health self. And I think these are avenues that is also not seen. We're so busy looking at the 1% bad apples and not looking at the 98% and what's happening to them.
Well, I would
And I
say is,
think that we're not having a holistic conversation on both sides of the argument.
well, the problem is that there's not a conversation. Is because it's being weaponized. Mental health is being weaponized. Whereas in the Black community, we feel that going to therapy is taboo, and I don't want to tell somebody else my business. But yet, if you have a Caucasian offender that kills multiple folks, mental health automatically comes into the picture. But if you have an incident to where a Black person kills one person, mental health never comes into picture. It's always rationalized, especially when you have a lot of these school shootings. It's always about mental health, but it's being weaponized. You know what I'm saying? And because of my current profession, I see it. And one of the questions one thing I missed about where I am now and where I was with the police department as a detective, I can't talk to a defendant without his attorney, because it is questions I have. Like, have you been through any rehab? Have you been through any therapy? Because a lot of times incarcerate, they get bare minimum while they're incarcerated. Their situations aren't rectified. There's no real therapy while they're incarcerated. That's why you have a lot of diversion programs where you have actually mental health court, which is designed to find out what exactly are their needs, what are their legal diagnoses, and they can go through therapy while they're incarcerated, but it's totally different. They're not general population. They're actually in a facility where they are getting the counseling and the understanding and the triggers that they need, and the understanding of why. Hey, I understand that this particular medication doesn't make you feel like you're yourself, but it balances you, and that's the thing. And it's a wide spectrum, and it's a conversation pretty much that Nate and I talked about the other day. It's financial. It's everything deals with money.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? It's money. You have insurance companies, because think about it. If you have if you have health insurance and you go a whole year without being sick, but yet you've paid pretty much tens of thousands of dollars into this insurance company to make somebody else rich. When you finally get an ailment and they tell you that you're not covered, like, hold on a second. I've been using you for years, haven't been sick. I should have a surplus of money to be able to pay for this procedure. No, it's financial. It's money. This is the reason why there's a fight in reference to whether they do single payer health care or they do universal health care. There's a reason, because it's financial. Money. Everything, mental health, regular health, is financial. Crime is money in crime. There's
Right.
money in letting this neighborhood here be ravished for crime. Because truth be told, as law enforcement, crime is what we used to say is that when it's job security. As long as it's crime, there's job security.
Well,
You know what I'm
let me say this.
Hold on one
Okay.
second, Uncle Stu, before you do that. Let me
Okay.
look at the super chat. So let's Stray Chan, I can never pronounce my last name. Thank you so much for the super chat. She said, thank you for informing the public. She said, in Sacramento, there are numerous of violations of the Fourth Amendment, illegal searches and seizures. It's prevalent. You guys, I don't want to steer too far off topic. But Uncle Stu, I'm gonna let you respond to that. And then I want to get Rima to touch on this comment as well, because initially, what we're discussing is, I don't want to fall too far away from this issue with the bill, right? And Uncle Stu, I know you came in on this. We're discussing the mental health facts, but one of the key things that we're talking about was, police rights over citizens' rights, and is there room based on this new law that Georgia put out? Is it room for them to abuse it? Should the police have these powers? Are these powers a little too much, a little too excessive? We're kind of going back and forth with that. And I think Charlotte brings up a good, or Carlette, I say Charlotte. Carlette brings up a good point. Violation of people's rights. Have we just put the police on steroids with these rights here in Georgia? You know,
Let me ask you this: can you just that way I can give
absolutely.
a decent response? I thought we was on mental health. I'm
No, we
sorry,
weren't.
y'all.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
didn't mean
no.
to derail the conversation.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. We were jumping. We were jumping, and it led us into the conversation. So you came in right on time.
Okay.
But Rima, I'm gonna let you. Really touch on the main issues with the House bill and your issues as you see it. You guys, and we're gonna wrap this thing up in about 15 minutes. But Rima, I want you to go ahead and give the rundown to Uncle Stu real quick, and then if you want, I can. Matter of fact, let me read the little features from the H bill, and then Rima, give you a rundown, and then Uncle Stu want to hear your thoughts on it, and then Dre will get you in. All right. So Uncle Stu, what the House bill is, it just passed in Georgia not too long ago. It was kind of like an answer to the hate crime bill that the governor signed into law after Ahmaud Arbery was killed. And so the hate crime bill is like, hey, if you commit crimes against a person and it's discriminatory in nature, we're gonna add a little extra sauce to your punishment, right? But then the governor turned around and said, okay, well, guess what? If you commit some type of crime or you commit these particular acts against police officers, we're gonna put a little sauce on your punishment too. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm doing something for the police as well. What did he say? He said a peace officer shall have the right to bring civil suits against any person, a group of persons, organizations, or corporations. That's the first piece. Police officers can sue, these organizations. And what else did it say? It says for damages or otherwise suffered during the officer's performance of the official duties or abridgment of the officer's civil rights arising out of the officer's performance of official duties, or for filing complaints against the officer which the person knew it was false when it was filed. This is called bias motivated intimidation. When such person maliciously and with the specific intent to intimidate, harass, or terrorize another person because that person actually is perceived to be an employment or a first responder. Basically, it's kind of like a hate crime bill against police officers, right? Rima, what would you say?
Well, I got a perfect answer for that one.
Oh, hold on, Rima, you're muted. Okay, go ahead. What's your thoughts, Rima?
I'm saying that's exactly what it is, because I put it out on Facebook immediately. I want to say it was like August the 4th when it came out, and by August the 4th, 2 minutes after, I said, "Hey, police officers have a hate bill now. Be careful out there." Because that's what it is. If you peel back the onion, ultimately you can smell it. So that's what it is. I don't like the fact that it's subjective. These are contracts. These are social contracts. And a good contract is one person doesn't benefit any greater than the other.
That's a good way to put it.
And a bad contract is if one side gets to benefit greater than the other. But again, we know from whatever is systemic that this is their world that we play around in. And you already know if they give you something, then they're going to add and take away, multiply and divide. And Uncle Stu, I gave an analogy earlier. I said, as a counselor, if I have a kid on my caseload and I don't like their behavior, or if I'm intimidated by their behavior, I'm also in control of that treatment plan. I can write up whatever, based on my feelings versus based on my skill and profession, which is going to follow that kid the rest of their life. And I think this is similar because when you talk about intimidation, perceived and those are fluid. In any policy, there's words: shall, can, or. They all mean something different. And how this law is written, I just think that they looked at all the stuff that was going on with the police tension, the communities, and just said we're gonna put a blanket over all of it. And this is what this bill is. It will cover everything. To your point, Trey, it covers everything. So pretty much, we're gonna make your ass behave. We're gonna make you comply, or you're going to get the business. That's what it is.
My simple answer from a since you said social um, contract, this is authoritarian and is totally different than a dictatorship, because the authoritarian is basically saying whatever political party rules also has the state police at its control. That's authoritarianism. That means it takes away and strips away all constitutional rights. Even in a dictatorship, they have something similar called a constitution, but authoritarian government does not. So Georgia has now become an authoritarian, and I'm hoping that y'all have the economic and political will to take it all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, because that needs to be taken all the way to the highest authority. The only people that's going to really economically benefit from this on an economic level is going to be states and the unions, because we know that this was more pushed by the unions of the police department than it was by the police themselves. Unions are in the back pockets of many politicians. This is why there is no real political will to really do anything with the police department, because the unions pays a lot of your political people. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I've always said from the very beginning, the police department was supposed to be a paramilitary. That means the police chief is supposed to be the one under the mayor or governor, and the mayor and the governor is supposed to be the quote, almost like the president of the United States over the military, but he has generals that controls the military branch. And so when you have a paramilitary, but the police does not have to bow down, kowtow to the mayors, the governors, and state. If I may use New York as that state, I watch how NYPD has grossly disrespected many mayors over the years, and no matter what that mayor said or did or tried to do, the New York City Union was able to really do a lot of damage to that mayor politically and to the community socially. So I know the strength of unions, and until we have the political will to break the back of the unions, a lot of this stuff is going to continue to perpetuate. When you can have a bad police officer in one county literally do negative stuff, get fired, he don't care, because he can get a job in the next county, and he's protected by who? The union. So I think until we have the political will to destroy the back of the union, we're going to continue to have an authoritarian state.
Well, I think the United States is nothing more than controlled. It's a controlled dictatorship. Like you tell me what I can do with my car. You tell me if I have a dog, what I got to do with my dog. That's controlled dictatorship. We don't really have the freedoms that you think that you do. Georgia, let's not forget, seceded from the Union. They didn't even want to abolish slavery. I understand the state thoroughly where I live. And I understand that if you're going to behave, that's where it is. But also, all of this is what makes the world go round. I don't know that any of it was designed, because Nathan, you and I, we talked about, to your point, Uncle Stu, the problem isn't trying to fix the police from a training standpoint, what needs to happen is there needs to be more self-care for police when they're dealing with all types of, because they're not just dealing with the trauma they encounter in the street. Some of them are married to wild women. Some are married to wild men. Their kids are showing out. They went to the doctor saying they got high blood pressure, they got diabetes, and you got to deal with all of that. And there needs to be something on the other side, because I guarantee you, if you can dump stuff out, if you can make sense of what's going on in your head, when you get to the scene, your mind isn't cluttered with your shit.
Well,
And
you got to remember, you're talking to the choir. You're talking to the son of a retired New York City police officer. So I see the opposite side of what many in the public see. So I don't want to continue because I know he's trying to get off of his live stream, and I just showed up at the last minute.
well, subscribe to the Sports Daily. We can talk about it. I want to hear more.
Well,
Well, you more than welcome to show up tomorrow night, because he's about to be on my platform tomorur.
That's
so
true.
I don't know. I don't know if that had anything to do with
points now.
Uncle Stu. Uncle Stu. I don't know if that had anything to do with what I just said, but okay.
But no, I surely will. I haven't been using my political science degree, but as somebody that has traveled the world, that those conversations can take hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I want to talk to you. I've traveled the world also. So.
Rima, you ain't been nowhere but damn near outside of Georgia. Stop playing. I know you.
And she talked about Georgia as the succeeding, but I have to top you on that one.
Uh-oh.
I gotta top you on that state because number one, my family come out of South Carolina, but I'm in Virginia. So when it comes to slavery, we was the real beginning. When it comes to fighting, you gotta remember, even West Virginia separated itself from Virginia behind that.
Again, get at me so we can have that discussion.
You got it.
Let me make this real quick, Uncle Stu. Based on what you're saying, I am actually versed on everything you're saying. But there's no union here in Georgia.
It's not.
There's no.
It ain't ever going to be.
Right. So now, granted, neither one of my parents were law enforcement, but my older sister worked both NYPD and corrections.
Gotcha.
Okay? So
no more Rikers.
Right. Well, she's retired.
Okay.
But a lot of my friends that I am extremely close with are either retired from NYPD or currently working at NYPD. So trust me, I understand what you're saying in reference to the power of the union.
Right.
But what you also have to understand is that, again, it's about money.
True.
It's about the money. The political power in dealing with unions, the political power and their financial power. NYPD has 38,000 officers. They have the largest police force in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought LAPD had that. Well, LAPD beat us in the numbers. We're supposed to be second. We're number 3.
I'm talking about reference funding.
Okay.
Because the NYPD budget is in the billions.
Well, so you got to remember, we had a 9/11. That's how we was able to get that money.
Well, prior to NYPD has some dough. But and the thing is, what you have to understand, I mean, their money primarily go to surveillance. I mean, they got Walmart type surveillance in the street.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was born and raised there. Went to high
school,
went to college in Virginia. So, my daughter goes to college in Virginia. So I'm fully versed of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I have family in South Carolina as well. So I'm versed on what you're saying. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the fact that, one, the financial aspect, because whoever has the money has the power. Okay?
Correct.
2, you have to deal with the mental health of everyone, not just the citizens as well as law enforcement. Okay? Because some of the stuff that I've seen and I have dealt with in my 15-year career, well, actually my 18-year of law enforcement, you know, I'm not too far away from my 50s. You know what I'm saying? I ain't that close, but I ain't that far. But at the end of the day, I have seen a lot of stuff and done a lot of stuff that a human brain is not supposed to be able to retain. So you have to understand that a lot of departments do not have the system. You know, you have EAP who have you fill out a survey when if you're going through trauma, but you don't. But you have to have extreme trauma before you have to speak to somebody. But you're filling out paperwork, okay? And then if you're really going through something, if you 6 months you still going through it and you're not fit for duty, you lose your job. So a lot of that stuff goes unreported. And you end up having a thing where officers self-medicate, and we have after you watch, we have what's called choir rehearsal, where everybody go out for drinks after they shift, regardless of what shift you're on, whether you're morning watch, day watch, or evening watch. When you go
Let me
out,
help you with that one. You're talking to a veteran of the United States Army. So if anybody understands that, it is us vets, and we are the most undertreated mental health people in the United States. Yet we was the one to raise our hand for the entire United States. And so I get it. You know,
guys, let me tell you what's going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to get put out of my house, and I'm not going to have anywhere to go
because I have give you a place to stay.
I have some, responsibilities to this household here, and I think that, and I want us to continue the discussion. And thank you, Nathan, for inviting me on. And it was a pleasure meeting you, Dre. Dre, you're gonna get my number from Nathan, because I got something to say to you. And Stu, Uncle Stu,
I'm get off before I get jumped.
and Stu, I'm going to.
Now you see what I deal with.
Stu, go ahead and get at me so I can get back at you, because I'd love to see what you're doing, see how you operating. And I love, as a counselor, I tell you, conversation has the power to heal, especially when we're listening to one another like we are. And that's why it extends and gets stretched like turkey meat. But, I have to go. I don't get this beautiful because I don't get my rest.
she got like an expiration clock going on, so we got to make sure.
Is that what it is?
We got to make sure she get back rejuvenated. She was not here sipping and smoking earlier. Y'all missed it.
Yeah, I saw the cigar. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, Stu, that's what I do.
I gotta put her on the panel for a cigar and sips.
Hey, yeah, we're gonna put something together, you guys. Listen, Uncle Stu, we about to link up tomorrow. Listen, if the moderators can drop Uncle Stu channel in the chat, and then also Dre, I appreciate you always for coming in. I'm gonna bounce you guys up out real quick. I'm gonna have my final words with the lovely lady Rima. She's been an awesome guest, my first guest. Dre, I appreciate you, Uncle Stu. I'm gonna hit you up in a minute, Uncle Stu. So stand by.
Okay.
Man on Cali.
All right, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yes.
Great conversation.
So how was your first time?
It was good,
You couldn't have picked a better person.
I sure couldn't have. Thank you for being
gentle. To give it up to.
Thank you for being gentle in this process. You're so patient.
Yes.
I wasn't quick though. Make sure you let people know.
No. Longevity. Long and strong.
Rima, I appreciate you so much. I was excited about doing this.
I appreciate you more.
And we were going to talk about some other stuff, but I love this talk right here. I think this was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's right on time.
It was.
I know you have to go again. I appreciate you. I thank you so much for taking the time out to lend your wisdom, lend your voice from a different perspective. We have so much. I want to have you back because there's so many other angles of different stuff, different conversations in regards to law enforcement we need to talk about. So I'm not going to keep you. Please give the audience a closing statement where they can find you again. We got your link in the chat. We got your link on the description. Yes. We got your link everywhere. You linked out, LinkedIn. Go ahead.
Linked out, LinkedIn. Well, like I said, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed, because I love the opportunity to listen and talk. And I mean it in that order. I love the opportunity to listen and talk. And I'm Sports A-Delic. chime in. I'm trying to get to the big boss level, like Mr. Nathan Daley here. Been experiencing some early success as far as subscribers and people enjoying my content. I hope that I served you well here this evening. And absolutely, please, come on to my show, become a sports A-Delic, because that's when you get to discuss sports and everything else, whether it's mental health, whether it's cigars, relationships, law enforcement. Nathan Daley, we discuss everything.
There we go.
Okay. And thank you again. And make sure you get at me, tomorrow with a follow-up. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rima.
Absolutely. No problem.
All
you
right.
have a good night.
You too. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. You guys, this is a good stream. Good conversation. Thank you guys for staying tuned and sticking with us. What do I love about Rima's channel? A lot of times, you guys, we used to talk about barbershop talk. As a young man going to the barbershop back in the day when your boy had a full head. My God, I'm gonna send. I'm gonna post some throwback photos, you guys. I'm not even that old. I got a little condition though. You know what I mean? This is different. I think honestly, the job stressed me out. I'm not gonna lie. I think the job is the reason why I started thinning out. But listen, honestly, barbershop talk. I learned a lot as a young man going to the barbershop. You're talking with other men. You're having conversations. You're hearing conversations about all kind of stuff. I think that's what I love about Rima's channel. It's like, it's about sports and everything else, like she says. I think when she's having conversations about things that we enjoy, right? Sports, we all love entertainment. It's a good way to sneak in some good quality conversations. That's what I love about it. And she's a cigar holic. She's good with the cigars. She got that stuff airtight. I mess with cigars too, you guys. I'm a little cigar guy. I plan on integrating, bringing some officers in this year and having like a sit down little cigar session, some a little juice in the cup, and have some conversations. Let you guys hear different experiences from officers, so you can kind of get some behind the scenes thoughts of officers, what we think, how we feel about certain situations. So the channel, we're gonna have some new things coming up, you guys. So stay tuned. Again, I really, really, really appreciate everybody coming and joining on this conversation. I know we touched on some interesting things. Me, I'm gonna go back and chop this video up and pull out all of the good gems in it. But it was a great conversation. Again, you guys, I appreciate you so much. The last question someone asked about the biggest police departments, you guys, is actually New York, Chicago, and then Los Angeles. So shout out to the gentleman who dropped that information here. He's absolutely right. Everyone loved Rima. She was dope. Definitely bringing her back. You guys, listen, please go follow her. Her channel is in the chat. Her channel is also going to be in the description section. We're going to help get her to 1,000. She's doing really good. Her content is very, very interesting and very unique. So with that, you guys, thank you again. Listen, what's coming up next? Oh, hey, listen, for those who don't know, I'm going to talk about the winner. It should have been dropped, I think, this afternoon, or it might be tomorrow. The winner of the holiday giveaway. I'm announcing that either tonight or tomorrow. So please be on the lookout for that, for the winner of the contest. And then also I'll be dropping the video to the story about me being sprayed with my own OC. It's going to be an interesting video, you guys. I'm going to put it on like a premiere video, so that way you guys can get it. We can watch it together, but it's going to be pre-recorded. And I'm going to tell you guys the whole rundown of what happened. So please, what do you say? Govern me harder than any blue states, big police departments. Shout out to Trash Can Waves. Thank you again, everyone who sent donations. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. You guys, it really means a lot. I read the comments under the videos. You guys say a lot of positive things. It's actually really motivating. It's actually really inspiring. You guys, this stuff isn't easy, and I'm learning the hard way. It's not easy, but I really enjoy it because I feel like I'm making an impact. I do feel like I'm making an impact. I have people coming up to me and telling me this all the time, or sending me emails. You guys, I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. And it's also inspiring and motivating me to push harder. You know, I plan on having this a nation conversation, a national conversation. We can make some impact. We can make some changes because people are asking for it, and we need the right people to be able to make it happen. I think that comes with the support from the people. So listen, thank you guys so much again. Thank you again to all my subscribers, to the new subscribers. I really, really appreciate you guys. You're truly a blessing. You're truly a blessing. I know I can be a little long-winded and you guys be holding me down, so I appreciate that. So again, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream, the live stream, talking about the law. That's it. Listen, the hardest part about this thing is starting and stopping. You kind of just don't know when to stop. Starting is always hard. Anyways, you guys, I appreciate you. So listen, good night. God bless. And please stay tuned for the video about the pepper spray. Can we react to it? Yeah, react to the video. I want to hear all about it. React to the video. There's some interesting things in here. What else? What else? One more thing. OC video. Oh, okay. Listen, people have been asking me about the whole white supremacy thing. Listen, I'm going to do a video on it. You guys might not like, some of you might not like my interpretation of it, but it needs to be talked about. You know, we're in an age now where we have to get out of some of this negative thinking. You know, we have so much power as a Black community, you guys. We have to now start tapping into it. So, you know, definitely I want to talk about that. My thoughts on white supremacy, my thoughts on white privilege. You know, I had a conversation with a gentleman before about that. Listen, people can believe who they want to believe. They can believe what they want, right? That's the world we live into. So I'm going to talk about that in the next video. And then the next video is going to be about the origins of policing. See, Dre knows this story about me being pepper sprayed because they were making fun of me after that incident, you guys. Police are cruel. I probably should have had some mental health counseling early on in my career. But you learn to get tough skin. You're dealing with officers who will clown you, but they do it out of love. They do it out of love. Dre knows, you know, I was a talk of the town after that incident. You know, so shout out to Dre again. He's a great dude. Hard to find men out here with integrity. He's one of them. So thank you guys. Thank you so much to the moderators who are always helping the channel. You know, Gail, all of you guys. Thank you so much for your help and your support. Thank you for my guests, people who came up and talked. I appreciate you as well. So look out for those videos, the pepper spray video. And then I did a video on the origins of policing because I had a conversation with a gentleman on my last live stream. You know, he had good intentions, right? He was on the right train, but he was on the wrong track, right? It's like a lot of us sometimes. A lot of us. So the origins of policing, the pepper spray, and then white supremacy. Is it real? Is it real? It's as real as the Matrix, you guys. Red pill, blue pill. You know, stop making people believe, like, don't let people force you to believe in foolishness, right? We need to step our game up. You will realize how much power we have as a community once we work together and step our game up. And there won't be no need for all these little weird social constructs that keeps getting created. Man, we have so much power, you guys. It's sad. It's really sad to see us just kind of throw it all away, you know, on foolishness. So anyways, I can talk forever, and I like talking. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Let me stop. I love you guys. This is cool. Anyways, listen, good night, and God bless you guys. All right, stay tuned for the new stuff. It's going to get crazy. Love you guys. Peace.